Whoa, we just came up with a new segment. The question
That's
mark.
right.
Actually, we didn't really
That's
come up with the
right.
segment, just the title of the segment.
We don't know what the segment is, but it's a good title for a segment.
Question mark. Just like the markdown is a new segment coming out soon. Also, our comics podcast. The markdown's coming out soon. I literally was at a shop a couple days ago, told them about the concept of it, and then guess what? He ran downstairs into his basement, brought up a bunch of comics. He's like a quarter. So he literally did the markdown after I told him about the markdown. I wasn't trying to get a discount.
Right?
And then I walked out
Wink.
with a bunch of Valiant, more extra Valiant comics because he's like, I don't want these at all. I was surprised he didn't be like, you can take this box for like X, and I may have done it. It would have been close. Anyway, Awestruck Comics podcast. It's busy week, busy, exciting week. Pretty good. We're gonna do the news here, reviews later in the week.
Yep.
Getting some good feedback on the visuals of the show. You know,
Even I'm trying it out. Surprise, surprise. It's Youngblood.
there it is. That is actually the beginning of the news. We'll go over with the plugs. So, Rob, you're on X,
I'm on
two
X.
two X's.
Yes, 2X. Not quite 3X yet, but you guys will love that stuff. I have the Rob Messick 76. That's just where I find random weird pictures online.
Mm.
Usually post them, doing a series of Youngblood covers to the build up to Liveville's new Youngblood book. Secondly, is Maximum Supreme.
Mm.
I had a Supreme pitch at one point, so I'm like, well, let me try to get people caught up on Supreme in a way, in case my book gets published. Doesn't happen because Liefeld temporarily lost the rights, which he has back now. So we'll see. We'll see what the future brings. But Maximum Supreme is that. You can also check me out on Facebook. We have an Awestruck Comics Facebook page, which has nothing to do with the podcast. It's just the name that I had. And what you can find there is a bunch of comic strips by me and artist Brian Milligan. They're humorous, a couple things. There's fun stuff.
Angry
What do you
Walt.
got? Angry
Angry
Walt. Angry Walt is an awesome character you can find on Awestruck Comics, the
based
Facebook
on
page.
based on real person.
He likes to say it's not.
My he likes to say it's not.
Because that's not me. He grew a beard, so he doesn't look like the character anymore.
That's him. All right, here we go. So I'm going to go right in. I'll go into my plug because my plug is in the pictures that we're looking at. So let me get into here. So I said this week. Let me go into. Oh, here we go. So this week, last week, I talked about how on Instagram I want to kind of restart my Instagram. One of the things that you said, which I didn't even realize, with your Supreme was like your inspiration for Supreme was like the different things I was putting up for New Gods when I was New Gods 3 or 4 years ago. So I end up recently I got a John Carter Warlord of Mars omnibus. The coloring on and that's what this is from. The coloring on this was really good. This is an example of them doing a really good job of the coloring. The Conan omnibus, same
Yeah,
thing. They do a really good job of recoloring the Conan
that
omnibuses.
looks really good. What's the
So
paper on that? Is it glossy or is it not glossy?
it's a semi-gloss. It's not. It's okay to photograph. So what I did was what I did previously for New Gods. New Gods had a couple extra versions, but so I have an original John Carter. This was from '77. I did the covers. Then I got I have a black and white from reprint that my dad got me in 2012,
Mm.
2011, 2012. And then I got the omnibus recently that was published in 12 or 13. So I have the 77 comic, the 2011 black and white Dark Horse reprint, which at the time there wasn't any reprints of this thing. And when I first got it, I'm like, I don't really want it in black and white, but as I said before, now I kind of love it. So here's the original that came out. Again, colors really good. Glennis Ween, Marv Wolfman, writer editor Dave Cockrum. All the designs in here, and maybe if we do a deep dive on this, all the designs from this is from Dave Cockrum. Dave Cockrum did a ton of design work in an initial pitch when they were trying to get the rights potentially. So there's actually in the first issue of this book and more in the omnibus, there's a ton of just pencil drawings. And they're awesome. So, but here it's basically was stated that because you can see the Gil Kane of this, but that face is very, very much a Dave Cockrum face. So it's a little tight. So it's a really cool. It's a great combination. He does the first issue, and then I
Right.
think issue like three, second issue, our boy South Jersey resident Rudy Nebris finishes the second issue. So, but and then so this is the black and white. and just to see you can kind of see more of the lines here, the more of the Gil Kane structure, and then that's the recolor, right? The recolor is
The
great.
recolor's really good.
Yeah,
So
so
often
there,
these things are rushed. You do a
great.
good job. That looks
So
really
there's a
good. It looks good. You know
yeah.
what it is? Because the recolor looks like he's trying to homage the era, the neat skies. Everything. It's like a good colored
I
book of that time, printed on good paper.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean I it just says retouched and stuff. So because it's not I don't know how they I don't know. I would love to learn how they do this, per se. We've talked a few times how we would love to
Yeah,
potentially
they
have
don't
some type of
have
reprint
the
line
they don't
of
have the original
something.
art to this, right?
I don't know.
So they don't.
But
So
see, but what's this from? So, but how do they have the black and whites? How is
yeah,
that?
is this
Is that
do
the
they have these
film?
files? Is it film?
I don't
Is
know.
there? I would assume in Photoshop at this point you could scan a comic book page and just say keep the blacks, you know,
Right.
and you could, I don't know if you could do that or not, but like, why
It's not
couldn't you?
racist, by the way, that Rob was talking about the just real
Well,
quick.
I said keep them.
Okay. Don't lose
The,
them.
the,
So
the so like, and if that could be a
I
thing,
don't see color. So just
not
FYI.
on this page. Did you see the video? You ever see the video of the guy who's colorblind? We're already spiraling out. Guy's colorblind, and I guess I guess there's new glasses, technology glasses that helps people with colorblindness
Oh,
see.
wow.
And just his overall reality, like he's crying because
I
he's
got the
66
glasses.
years old, never seen color, and then these glasses help him see color. Look at you, Tony Stark glasses. So
These
it's
are
just
great,
very
dude.
much like it's heart. It pulls at your heartstrings, like seeing a baby get glasses for the first time and then
Oh yeah.
smile at his mom. It's the
This is
same
going to
type
be
of
all over my
situation.
Instagram now. I saw one where someone put in their ocular implant
Yeah.
and he heard his voice for the first time. Oh my
Uh huh.
God.
Oh
Bawling my
yeah.
eyes out. That
Whew.
was brutal.
Yeah. When especially when it's babies, it's like, oh my god, you're like it's like welcome to the world again.
Yeah. Oh, I'm putting on my glasses, bro. These
Good.
are like I got these really good with some Christmas when I got these really good blackout. I got the blue blocker because basically my other desk right behind me. I have a U-shape U desk, so I do my math work back there, my math and my job,
Math is hard.
and then I just turn around and then do comics. I was fun over here. It's
I was
it's kind of like over the top. It's kind of like Sylvester Stallone with the over the top. He's like, it's got to switch it. It's like a switch.
in my mind, I picture your glasses with a blue tint. I guess like it's a blue blocker. I'm like, oh, maybe they look blue because you see a
No.
lot of people who have glasses like that. Usually, you can see like a purple tint. Like they'll
Mm-hmm.
look clear, like they use them for the regular glasses,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
but like just if you look to the side, there's like a weird purple, a violet,
yeah. I love it.
ultraviolet.
Ultraviolet. Mila Jovovich,
Yes,
everybody. So yeah, just having a fun time. There's the initial cover. I got this for $1.
that's fun.
Here we go.
Look at this.
Boom.
Rob Liefeld
Oh,
posted this
I
the
know
other
we talked about
day.
this like 2 weeks ago, but more revelations. I'll let you talk about this,
No, he's just
and I'll
showing
go to
you
the next page.
he's establishing the team. Shaft, Bad Rock, Die Hard, Vogue, Chapel's son. That is son of Chapel,
Yeah,
but
I
he
talked to you
looks
about this too. I was
yeah
like, what?
yeah.
What?
Original
Who is
Chapel
this? His
became
face is gone. His
Lord of
face is
Hell.
his face is
Yeah,
burnt off.
yep. Um, and then Suprema, that's Supreme's sister. But I'm like, oh, it's a new costume. And I'm like, wait a minute, it kind of reminds me of like Riptide's costume. And then it hit me. This is an homage to the first appearance of Youngblood that happened in Megaton Explosion.
Oh,
Yes, this was a free giveaway book at Chicago Comic Con 1987. Gary Carlson, owner, creator of Megaton Comics, later famous for Big Bang Comics. He was going to publish the Youngblood book in 1987. Before Liefeld got hired from Marvel DC. So the first volume of Megaton Stops was a black and white comic. Did very good. Had all the early Eric Larson artwork. Actually, first appearance of Savage Dragon is in Megaton, where he fights Vanguard. So they do this book to promote Volume 2 of Megaton. He's going to do it in color. There's a new Vanguard book, a new E3 book, new Megaton, like I said, Volume 2, and a Youngblood one-shot that was going to lead into a series by Liefeld. Sadly, the black and white market, the glut market collapsed. The independent market collapsed. So this book never comes out. But here it is, and they colored it then. I think if you get the Youngblood hardcover that came out, the rescripted Joe Casey one, there is a recolored version of that in it.
oh yeah, I can
But
pop that
that
in.
but that hardcover is kind of hard to find. It's like a $150, $200 hardcover.
Right, right. And that had some of Youngblood Zero in that, correct? And that just kind of in a slightly different.
It actually, the hardcover has 10 to 20 pages of Liefeld's Megaton story.
Mm.
It's pencils and then and colored by then comics colorist Tom Mason. I think he colored the whole. Or no, it's Matt Yackee. My apologies. I think Matt Yackee. I think Matt Yackee colored it. Regardless, it's cool. This is cool.
I found
It was a fun homage. Yes, this is the ad that was in I think Megaton 8, which you own.
I have Megaton 8. Yep.
There's two Youngblood ads. There's this
Megaton
one
8 for $1 also.
Look at
$1.
this. Titans, Legion, X-Men, no way. Because in 1986, those three books were untouchable.
Mhm.
And 3 years earlier, they were even more untouchable. Like the Perez era, the Giffen era of Legion, you know. So it's funny. There's another Youngblood ad that has like I think Riptide.
Yeah.
Like running, she's bringing up the ocean behind them like a big wave.
Yeah. Look at the
fun stuff.
The flat tops. Three. Yeah, three flat tops, baby. Right there.
So,
1, 2, 3.
Go back one panel. Just kind of funny to talk about it. You got Riptide, that's the chick with blue. You got Photon, the guy with the green flames. The African American woman with the flat top is Photon. Or no, Tempo. Is Tempo. And she ends up being sold. Liefeld uses her in the Mutant Liberation Front in New Mutants.
That's right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Sentinel, Brahma. That guy, Sci-Fire, he gets a total revamp for regular Youngblood. And then Cougar. Sci-Fire. Cougar also was almost sold to Marvel. There's a New Mutants cover, inked by Todd McFarlane with Cougar.
87.
Cougar, that's right. He was going to show up the same issue as Cable. He's even in Marvel Age. He's even in a West Coast Avengers in like a cameo in a bunch of new character like page.
Oh, wow.
And then Liefeld changes his mind. He's like, I'm going to hold on to Cougar. I think Cougar was going to be Cable's son because which one? Is it X-Force 1 or it's X-Force 1. Cable has like a flashback and he's like, oh, my son, Tyler. And there's a picture of him, but he looks kind of like Cougarish. That was going to be Cougar. Like Cougar was still thinking about bringing him in, even up through like X-Force #1. And then he had to hurry up and change the character to Tyler.
Did anyone ever do that?
Follow up on Tyler or bring in Cougar? They followed up on Tyler. He ends up becoming a Tolliver, right? And then he ends up, I think Wolverine kills him. I think he becomes does he become Genesis? And Genesis tries to steal I think he tries to get Wolverine back as adamantium. I think Wolverine ends up having to kill him. But I think you find out it's Cable's, like he raised him. It's like not a stepson, but like an adopted son. So, yeah, I feel like his name was, they think they called him Genesis. I could picture Adam Kubert drawing him. So, yeah, they followed up briefly.
Boom. No way. Who would have designed, do we know who designed the logo? Because that's the same logo.
It's the same logo. As far as I know, it was Rob.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know how he did it or what he did it on. But you know what? Like 80s 3D blocks are always all the rage.
Yeah. Great.
And he was friendly with Hank Canals even back then.
Hank Canals, baby. All right, other news that you may have saw this. So this news was beyond confusing to me because in one of this, it had two different titles. This was originally called Future State, the Book of L, and then this solicitation came out, and then it got canceled. It's going to be resolicited. So this, from what I understand, is going to be a one shot. But this is kind of going back to the Philip Kennedy Johnson Future State Warrior Superman, which I'm a little mad at because when I went Christmas shopping, the McFarlane figure was at a Burlington Coat Factory that I was in. It was like $10, and I didn't get it because it would go well with my like Barbarian like Batman that I got, the Page Puncher McFarlane, and I didn't buy it, and I'm mad that I didn't buy it. I could probably find it online or something like that, but I'd pop that out because that Gladiator style Superman was awesome, and the McFarlane was good. So that storyline I felt like it went on forever.
Do you like Gladiator movies, Mark?
I do. Do you like Gladiator movies?
Yeah, that storyline went on for I feel like 2 years.
It went on too long. Yeah, it should have been like, I don't know. It should have been maybe like 8 issues. We're gonna talk a lot when we get in reviews this week. We're gonna talk a lot about space of. I feel like a fiver. I feel like they got to bring back the five. I feel like a lot of threes that I'm reading should. I feel like they should be five, and then I feel like the ones that are 8 to 10 or 12 should be like eight.
So
Like or just something like you got to shrink them. I think it's.
so what's this? What was this?
I
It's
don't know.
funny. I actually don't know. I actually didn't see this news. I saw something about getting a book canceled because he had an interesting idea, which is something that, a lot of writers. Oh man, I almost did the jerkiest thing. He did a storyline about the descendants of Superman.
Mhm.
I had a Superman story about the descendants of Superman. It's just funny. So I almost shit on him by saying, "Oh, a lot of writers have that idea." I'm like, "Oh no, don't say that, dude." Because
Well, it's
I like him.
possible. Yeah,
No,
it's
no, it
possible.
is. It's always been a fun
I like
idea.
that I couldn't talk to him, and that sounds. I know that sounds weird, but the last two Baltimores I was at, his table was busy both
Yeah,
times,
but no, I agree with you.
and that's
'Cause I
cool.
was, I was there because I wanted to talk to him. Because I'm a Superman. I'm a huge Superman fan, like one of the biggest.
I like his Hulk run. I can't figure
As a Hulk,
out his approach on the Batman and Robin just yet. I only read one issue. You have been reading that as Batman and Robin?
I'm starting to. It's starting to become a glance book.
Oh, oh,
I know. It's like
it's okay.
I enjoy Superman. I
We're
enjoy
busy.
his Hulk. We are busy. It's just what it is. I can't read too much Batman or Robin. Like I just feel like I'm just inundated by Batman and Robin because I think Mark Waid's doing a fantastic job on Batman and Robin Year One,
Mhm.
and I feel
Oh
like the
yeah,
Batman and Robin books we had gotten previously were really good. So I'll catch up. I will catch up. I mean,
yeah,
we have these books. Like we're paying for them. You have to read them. Like
yeah,
you can't not read them. But like I'm
yeah.
just so excited by so much else going on. I don't know if I'm going to drop it or not. I buy too much.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to figure out exactly like how to like sever ties, right? Like
Mm.
luckily a lot of stuff I'll wait for it to be on the app. Like Thor, the Al Ewing Thor, I stopped reading because I'm like, I'll go to the app. I'm gonna just wait for that. I'm gonna wait on that. I'm gonna wait on the Daredevil. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna just I didn't grab me, and then I'm like I'm not continuing this. I'm gonna just wait and let it build up.
Well, you're paying for the app.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't
exactly.
know. I don't know how that works. I don't know. It's weird. Is that every month did it go? All right, X amount of people read Daredevil, so maybe those creators get a little more of a cut. Like, do they cut it up like that? Like, what's being
I don't
read?
know what the distribution is. Yeah, it would be interesting to find out
Like,
if we could ever get a creator to kind of break how that works.
because
What
I can imagine, like,
proportion of the digital do they get, or do
yeah,
they get a flat rate and
like
that's it?
how many old heads are going back and just looking at the stuff we grew up on, like the John Byrne Claremont X Men.
Mhm.
Are they getting checks because of the app? People going
No,
back and reading the McFarlane Spider Mans? Are we reading the Simonson Thors on the app?
I
Like we
doubt
know they're
it.
getting paid
Yeah,
from the hardcovers. The
yeah,
absolutes pay out, but
right.
like digitally, I wonder.
Well, I think if you're doing it, I think that's why.
Is it like
Um,
Spotify? You know,
yeah, but Spotify's are pennies on the dollar. That's why, like, I think people like sometimes leave Spotify, or Neil Young left Spotify, Taylor Swift left Spotify for a bit. She might still be off. So, because I think that was the thing, their cuts weren't, doing anything. Sorry, I got to take this back a little bit. You got to take it back. But I feel like now, like I don't know how many printings. Like so, Dave Mazzucchelli, right? Dave
yeah,
Mazzucchelli. They're putting out another printing of the Batman Year One archive edition, or the artist edition, right? That was the
that,
last thing that Dunbier worked on. It's supposed to be amazing, right? I've seen a
right.
couple video reviews of it. I like that book a lot, but I don't care about it enough that I would want that in that form. You know, I already own that. Well, I only own it once, actually.
Listen, man, I love Year One, but I like Dark Knight Returns better.
Mhm.
Like I don't know, it's unfair to compare them.
I have the graffiti designs artist edition of the Dark Knight. Which is incredible with the overlays and it shows like sketches on the back of pages and stuff, like
Yeah,
just kind of nuts. Just kind of crazy. Um, So, but that being said, Marvel has a couple different things. So I would imagine that Mazzucchelli they put out a gallery edition of Born Again, like last year, and that's so it's a little bit bigger. I have the Weapon X gallery edition, so it's not quite. artist edition, but it's bigger and it's color. It's a good reprint. The paper's really good. The Weapon X is really good. They have pinups. They have some extras in it, a little bit extras. But Marvel's Finest is coming out, which is basically like their evergreens, right? So they're doing. It's not compact. It's a little more expensive than compact. So it's not smaller, but they have an okay trade dress. I looked at they're putting out a Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Panther trade, and they're putting out Born Again. The Born Again looked pretty good. The paper quality looked really good. It kind of looked what those Penguin Random House like reprints that they did. Then they just kind of stopped doing those. Remember, did
All
you
right.
see those with the black
Yeah.
bottom cover and stuff? They look pretty cool, but I don't know what happened. They stopped those, and then they're still putting out Masterworks in the slightly weird small format. So Marvel's publishing is all over the map. DC, I feel like, is getting a better line. The Compact Comics, a couple of shops I've been to, all the store owners think the Combat Comics are doing pretty well. They're $9.99.
You know, ideally the compact comics are for kids, and you and I are like, it's so small. Like we appreciate the ease of which you can read them and collect them, but like to us, we prefer the absolute size or something
Could
bigger.
be our
And then
eyes.
I'm
We're
like,
old.
yes, that's exactly the point I'm getting to. I'm like, oh, I was thinking about some graphic novel series my girls were reading. Yeah, they've gotten from the library. I don't know what it is. Maybe Babysitter's Club or something. I'm like, these are small. I'm like, oh, they have better eyes than us.
Mhm.
They can still read the date on a dime. You know?
Yeah, no, yeah. And that's the thing, and that's why I got these like blue blockers because I feel like at a certain point, with me doing this and turning around and editing some stuff, and then I'll look at my iPad for so long, just knocking
Yeah.
stuff over. I look at my iPad at night, and then I'm like, and then I gotta wake up and do it all over again, So yeah, to kind of head back to this, I don't know what this is.
Spiral back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
spiral back.
it's just a one shot. Doesn't.
But I
Very...
hope going to that, I hope, and also like if
So it was
I,
canceled and
but
then not
what are these
canceled.
covers about, man?
Oh,
Like
I was gonna try to not say
they're
anything.
two of the same things. Look,
Very,
and this doesn't. When I see this, and I think one of
right.
the reason that I saw the reason why that they canceled it, it said like the newest storyline. That's what confused me. It's something about like the new storyline. There's like a one shot for the new storyline, and I'm like, what? And then they canceled it, and I'm like, well, who's? Because then I looked at action. John Ridley was doing action, and then Mark Wade's doing or Williamson's doing Superman. I'm like, what is this book?
And
And
I
then
don't
he even
want.
says it says concluding the events of Future State. Is there stuff that wasn't concluded? I feel like that
Also,
that one had
also
like
this doesn't.
five or six
This book doesn't
endings.
even like reading the story. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Is
Uh, I,
it, how is it? I don't know. The,
yeah.
the blurb sucks.
Yep.
The covers aren't great. The A cover is okay because that's the artist of the book. The B and
Right.
C covers are similar, kind of boring. The variant cover, that's a
They
one and
both.
five variant. Am I going to spend $25 for that? No thanks. And I
Yeah.
love Superman. I have a light that
They're
looks
too
similar to that.
similar. I think the Berens and the Raza cover they're too similar. And I can't find and also yeah I'll see if I can find
It's
a, a,
fine
a
art.
better yeah
They look fine. The Superman looks fine. I don't know. My
yeah
images are a little blurry. All
yeah.
right.
All right. So this is good news, but again, terrible. This is the like again they're doing a terrible job
Yeah.
announcing things.
This is
Okay.
exciting news. Daniel Warren Johnson is
Wolverine
taking part
8 is why
slash
legacy numbering sucks.
yeah, Wolverine 8 slash Wolverine 400. Wolverine 400, love it. That's great. I love legacy numbering. I get it. We got to reboot these books every year like it's a TV season. And you got a story by Daniel Warren Johnson. They don't say how long it is, just a bonus story.
Bonus.
It could be 2 pages. We don't know. Does it
I would say
say
it's an 8. I would say it's an 8er. It's an 8
eight
or a
pages?
10.
Yeah.
Eight's kind of the standard. It's not going to be a 2 or 3. Danny Warren Johnson has one of my favorite Superman stories, which I cried when I read it. It's a Superman red, white, and blue.
In red, white, and blue. That's a phenomenal story.
It's unreal. It's unreal.
Superman red, white, and blue. Great miniseries. It's Superman. They're telling the stories, limiting the colors to red, white, and blue. It's great. There's some really good stories. Hey, guess who I'm going to bring up, Mark? Michel Vive does a story in one of them. Take a sip.
Take a shot.
So yeah, Wolverine 400, Daniel Warren Johnson. That's awesome. I'm excited. The new Wolverine series is kind of good. I'm reading it.
I think I read the two. I read the two
The
issues, so I'll wait till it builds up
the
a little bit.
sales are better. More people are picking it up than Wolverine Revenge. I think people don't love Wolverine Revenge. People kind of
That's funny. Is that true?
it according to Jimmy J it is, or
Oh
at least
wow.
he's selling more because people feel like this book counts. If Wolverine the Revenge was like in continuity, people want their books to count.
Yeah.
Like like you and I talked about, it's cool that like Avengers, Aliens, and Wolverine Revenge is like an alternate reality. Hickman writes what ifs better than ongoing
Mhm.
series is what we kind of a conclusion that we came to. But like people want their Wolverine story to count. They're reading other X books. They're watching Wolverine Deadpool movies. That new Wolverine Deadpool series is hot because it counts.
Right.
So this book counts. um, Now the covers are kind of wacky. Like they show us, I don't know if these are A, B, and C. I don't know. What you got? The
I
first
don't know.
cover. The first
Yeah,
cover, it's okay.
I want to say the Andy Kubert's new only because Andy Kubert's been making himself for only a few years.
Yeah, he's not exclusive to anywhere doing the GI Joe covers that we love. Um, it's neat to see Andy Kubert draw this because it's a little bit old, a little bit new. Like there's a mishmash of styles there. And Andy Kubert, is he younger than Adam?
Yes.
So, which still means he's probably 60 something.
Mhm.
I think
Andy Kubert's daughter is Emma Kubert, who does the Pandora book for Frank Miller,
which
and
is
she did
phenomenal.
Stoneheart, I want to say, and she's really good. She's excellent. Yeah, she's a really really good artist, and didn't really take any type of cues from either Andy or Adam or Joe.
Or
Like
Joe.
it's very, but it's excellent. I'm not taking away from anything that from her at all. But that book's the Stoneheart she did. I have the first issue. I grabbed out in Dollar Book, and I read that, and that was pretty good. I never went back to read that. And Pandora, I think that's going to Abrams now. I think they reprinted Abrams. It seems like all the Frank Miller, whatever it was called, Frank Miller Presents or whatever.
I think
His
so. FMP.
that all went to Abrams.
How do you
So
think? How do you think the backstory? What went down between Miller and Didio? You think? Because I don't think Didio was really like adding anything. I think Miller could have taken his book anywhere, and anyone would have published it, and they probably would have done better. I think Didio limited Frank Miller. It's like, oh, we're not going to do digital. We're going to do different size. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then meanwhile, Didio sliding in his comics, which nobody bought. Nobody cared.
yeah, nobody cared. Yeah, and they didn't seem interesting either.
They
So
didn't. They didn't. And I'm not even trying to shit on him, because he was nice to me when I met him, you know. And
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
never
know
met
he's a
him.
fan. I know he's a fan. I'd seen him when I was hanging out with
Yeah.
Liefeld at Baltimore one year, and he was like putting his arm around Liefeld. They were talking buddy buddy. I think it was when Liefeld was doing Hawk and Dove with Gail Simone. I'm sorry, he was
Okay.
doing Teen Titans with Gail Simone
Mhm.
that had Hawk and Dove in it.
Right. That was pre 52.
Right, that was pre 52. That was towards the end of Jeff John's run. Um, it was like it was well into his run, not towards the end. But
Right.
I was always curious. I've never asked Rob why Jeff Johns didn't write it. Maybe he needed to break those two issues.
Yeah. No, that's right. I bought those. I have two copies of those. So if you don't have that, I have it because I ended up buying two because there's only two issues, and I found them in
No,
Dollar Books somewhere. And I was like, "Do I have these?" And I was like, "Well,
I
fine."
love it. I
Again.
don't know if you have them. Oh, I don't know, Mark. Did I not buy two Liefeld Teen Titans books? First off, I love Jeff Johns' Teen Titans run. That's such a great book.
Hmm.
That's a great series from start to finish. At least the Jeff Johns run of it.
Yeah.
Although still disappointed they killed Superboy in Infinite Crisis. I mean, yeah, they bring him back, but like,
Right.
I was really loving Connor Kent Superboy at that point.
Yeah, that was a big mistake. So
So
this I just kind of grabbed. This is a print watch. I don't know exactly who did the one on the right, but I know I've only seen there.
so this is New God's second print of #1.
I like that it's sold and they're doing a second print #1. Like I think that's really
Yes.
cool. But there is I think it's like a $9 or $10 version of #1 where it has like an acetate overlay of that. So the second printing on the left
Oh,
is
like the old Wizard Ace editions.
yeah, exactly. And what's funny is I'll have to go grab it. I grabbed it at Final Boss Comics and Games in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. Future segment on that. I don't want to really go into it, but let me show you this because I don't know where this is from, and
Okay.
this is relevant to if I can get out of this chair. This is relevant to the acetate that we're just talking about. Hold on.
It's always sad when Mark walks away. We miss him so much. It's sad. He's actually got to walk over. Oh, never mind. He'll kill me if I keep talking.
This is going to play on the screen, so I may have to take it. So what? So this an EXO database.
Oh yeah,
No, there's no price on this. So this was what, an insert for a trade or something? Do you think? There's no price on this thing. 1993, printed in the USA. It's probably 10 pages. It's nothing.
I
But
wonder. It might have come with a trade because the Solar trade came with Solar Zero, right?
yeah, but look at this. So I've never seen this. So you got this, right? Ready? You got the acetate. Ready for this? You see all the gunk, the gunk of
You should make your picture larger.
that's what she said. I can't. But I'll put this
Okay.
in. And
All right, put it
then
in.
and then if you take this, you have naked Eric Dacia.
Good.
Naked.
Good God.
So just pretty funny, just kind of neat. Like, I grabbed an EXO run, the Bart Sears EXO run, and then like it's kind of like Marvel Universe, but then they're like the two of the same picture. Like, there's more stuff here, there's more stuff here, there's more stuff here, and then in the back of this, oh no, I guess that's it. And they just have like a they just have like more. It's just classes of who's in there, so it's kind of weird.
I
I want to say there might have been an EXO Man of War trade or something like that. And
I
that was like
feel
the
like
insert.
I might have had that. I remember seeing the insides. We were talking last week about the not great facsimile edition of DC Comic Presents, where they first had the New Teen Titans, and we were talking how like facsimile, it's fine, but like we would prefer, it'd be neat to have like some sort of legacy edition, and that's when you put like a
Yeah,
new foil cover on it, or you rework the artwork. And
you could
Milligan
put
brought
the
up,
cover on the outside. They actually have a cover on the inside. They have a George Perez cover. I put it
yes,
in the
yeah,
thing. So
there's something, yeah. But
you don't.
Milligan
I
brought
don't
up
need the rest. I don't need the
his
rest at all. I
his
don't need.
favorite thing was the Wizard Ace editions, where
Mm,
they'd reprint the comic on a higher stock paper, cardstock cover, acetate. Usually some A-lister at the time would do the
yeah,
cover. They were both good for facsimile editions and reprints slash, I guess they just still be facsimile editions of current hot books.
yeah.
And
Like Frank
I
Wiley
remember
did one, right?
Frank Whiteley did a cover when he was doing New X-Men. So they reprint X-Men 95, the issue after Thunderbird dies,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got like the gravestones. That's a really good
Oh
cover.
yeah, that's right. Yep.
It's like them in costumes, and you flip it, and it's like gravestones. Yeah, it was really good. Um, yeah, they did Creed one, Evangeline one. Like they did a bunch of acetate Wizard Ace editions. They were really good books. They were fun.
Yeah. Um, and the reason, so I haven't seen it in person, and I've seen it on eBay, and I'm like, because I really like this, and it's 12. I think it's only 12 issues, but I know they're doing one for every book, and I also know there's like about four covers per. So I really hope there's a nice version of this because you've not read Dawn Runner yet. I know that's on.
Correct.
I'm leaving that on your list. Leave it on your
I want to
list.
never
So,
read it, just so you could constantly bug me about it.
so Jeff Lemire had a bunch of Substack news this week. So it was just over multiple articles. Apparently, there is going to be. Did you ever read that book, that Black Label book, the Robin and Batman this thing? I
Yes.
never I
Yeah, I
never
read
read
that.
that.
I
So
remember
that's
liking
kind of
it.
a year. It's like a Robin year one. Dick Grayson,
I
yeah.
I love Dustin again. I think he's a really talented artist. Both his that he did a short story with Poison Ivy one time where like her emotions were reflecting the seasons in which it was. Like when it's
Okay.
fall, she gets sad and depressed in the winter, and like it
What
was
was
just
that
a
in? Do
really.
you remember what that was in?
I don't remember what that was in.
I'll look it up. I'll see if I can find it.
Really good story though. Just really, it's a smart idea.
I like that Batman in the
But
back, man.
yeah, he's
Very
great, and
powerful.
he's really fast. Like he's a very fast artist.
I talked to him in a convention, and he was doing sketches really fast, ink sketches, like fast. And then he takes a lot of time. So the watercolor stuff he does is really good, and I think he made a good amount of money off that low Gotham stuff. So hopefully that, we want all these
I
artists
almost wonder if
to
the Poison Ivy
make
story was a
money.
little Gotham story.
Oh, that's possible, yeah. Because they were where were they on DC?
I feel like they were on the DC app before it was a DC app.
Right. So, but he did mention there is a sequel to this, but they're probably waiting. But it does say that early years as Robin wearing Nightwing's disco uniform. So
That's
I
fun.
kind of like this. I think this is smart. This is kind unlike Marvel, who puts out like two Bishop miniseries really close together, or two Cable mini, like it doesn't just leave it a little alone. So you can't have
Make
another
us make us
early-ish.
miss you.
You can't have another early-ish Dick Grayson Robin story, right? So that's cool. Just put it on rest for a little bit, have it ready. The other thing that was mentioned is, and I didn't see, I don't remember seeing the Dan Panosian cover in the top right. Do you remember seeing that? That's
No,
the first time I
no,
saw
not
that.
yet.
And the bottom left is I'm not sure who did the bottom left. We know Lemire, of course, did that Flash homage.
Right.
But what I didn't know about this, and I left kind of that up top, he's 15. He's Wally West. Barry Allen will play a role, just not one you may anticipate. Grodd will be the secret star of the series. Well, now you told us, so maybe not
Not
put that
yeah,
in there.
not a big secret.
Wally West is the first and only Flash in this universe. Okay, the Speed Force may not exist in the Absolute Universe.
That's fine.
Hmm.
It didn't exist in ours for like 50 years.
Now, I think the best cover is the bottom right, and that's the artist. That's Nick Robles, who I
Okay.
don't know where I've seen him before, but I think that's the best cover. Yeah, I think that looks good. There it is. Whoop! I'll get that blown up.
The lightning
Um,
bolt looks a little like the Sentry symbol.
yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, it's there's a separation in the middle of it. It's cool. It all actually.
Now it looks like two boomerangs
Well, now it looks like I think it's almost like a Superman crest a bit when I like looking at the bottom left. Um,
or two Star Trek symbols.
oh yeah,
That's fine.
that's fine.
We're not trying to crap on it.
Nah, no. Again, I'm very interested in this, and then yet, another Substack update, Jeff Lemire, but I just think it's kind of neat. So he does talk a little bit about like the influences. So we're pretty big Awestruck approved series JSA. It's very much approved. We've liked every issue so far.
Yeah.
I like it that it feels like it's on issue 5. It started issue was on issue 3, and I'm like, what? Did I miss 2 issues? No.
No. It hits the ground
Pretty
running,
cool. Yeah.
just like the Flash.
So yeah, he says our current big opening storyline, Ragnarok, was designed to feel classic JSA comic. Was trying to capture the feeling of Jeff Johns' early 2000 run,
Yeah,
which
that
is
makes
one of our
sense.
favorite mix with the Infinity Incorporated.
Which we love.
Great. And All Star Squadron series I loved as a kid. We loved that as kids.
We
Awesome,
did.
Jeff Lemire. But I will have to. But okay, so this I don't know if you saw this. Did you see this news? So check this out.
No.
I will take a timeout with issue 8 and do a times past one-off set in 1945. So the fact that he used times past as a concept. So times past was he wanted James Robinson wanted to do more history of Starman in the Starman 90s series, 90s and the 2000. So James Robinson, Tony Harris launched that, but after so many issues, he would do an issue called Times Past where it would be, and you had a lot of artists now. You had Michael Zulli, Craig Hamilton. You had a ton
Right.
of really good
To give
artists
Harris a
popping
break
in.
for an issue,
Matt
let him
Smith.
catch up.
Yeah. So you had a ton of really cool artists, and it were purposeful fill-ins, right? It was purposeful fill-ins to give Tony Harris a breather, but build out. And some of the most horrifying one, the Matt Smith one with the Ragdoll, where the JSA decide to murder Ragdoll, was horrible. And then Jeff Johns later uses a potentially. Did they even really go into the origin of that? Just this really scary looking Ragdoll, almost like Chucky esque character later.
Oh, yeah, he's
Remember
like
how
a
scary?
super creepy contortionist.
Woo.
He was really creepy. That character showed up on the CW Flash show,
Oh,
and
really?
my girls were like, "This guy's creepy," because they got a real contortionist who's always like flipping backwards and coming out of boxes all
Ugh.
creepy, and they're like, "This is weird. This is gross."
That's cool. Yeah. So
Yeah, and
I went really, I'm really happy that was mentioned. So I'm like, okay. And then so that'll be drawn by Gavin Goodry, which you can kind of see, and that looks like almost like Cliff Chang.
yeah, he's got a classic Ty Templeton, like the
Javier
black and white
Pulido.
picture.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think that's
it's
pretty
a good
cool.
mixture.
And then it says here some again. And after
Yeah,
Ragnarok, I plan on doing another shorter character pieces on and them next big epic around 15. So we get a breather. So 7 of Ragnarok, 8 times past 15, and then a bunch of individual ones. So again, and also that one that's down there, that variant looks like a Raleigh Rossimo sand.
Yeah, or
That's pretty fun.
looks like Peter Porker in
Woo.
disguise.
Yeah, right.
The
Oh
the
wow. Yeah.
the so what we love about Jeff Lemire right now is he's writing this book, which is a classic action superhero book. It's written modern, homages stuff from the 80s that we love, homages to the 2000s Jeff Johns that we love. Great. Now he's about to do Absolute Flash, which is a totally modern, the most modern way. The Absolute line is the most modern way to do superheroes currently.
Mm. Right.
So that's interesting. It's an interesting dichotomy, along with doing Spiral City, part of the Black Hammer series going on right now, which is a
Yeah.
totally different feel. So he's doing
And
3 monthly comics.
Minor Arcana for I think it's IDW, which is more of a small. That's pure. That's what we call Awestruck. We call the pure Lemire,
Right.
the pure Lemire.
Lemire. He's Canadian, right? Think he's French Canadian? Lemire.
I don't know. I think
We
so.
don't know. Jeff
So
Lemire.
all
So
right.
kudos.
So this surprised
Just
me. Did you see? I don't think you even saw this news.
nope.
So Resurrection Man was a series that was pretty good in the 90s, I guess.
Was
Right?
that? I wasn't. Was it Abnett? Who wrote that
Yeah, it
originally?
was. It's Abnett Lang Jackson Geis.
Right. I remember.
That's the initials. Um, and then I want to say after New 52, they did a New 52 series with the same team. I feel like it happened again. I feel like it. So
I feel like you're
now,
correct.
oh yeah, it's okay. The series ran for 27 issues, in 1997. It's pretty long. Who
Yeah.
liked that? Do you remember who read that?
One
Who
of our
read this?
friends, we all I think we all kind of enjoyed it, but one of our friends was a definite like Resurrection Man fan.
Wilson
I
liked
think
that, man. It's
I
Chris
think we
Wilson.
even got a Resurrection Man 1 million.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right. I would be curious. I think they're all in the DC app. I even would be curious to look at, yeah, the 2011, the New 52. So that would have been 15 years later, 14, 15 years later.
Right.
But I think Jackson Geist worked on that too. You know. Now this is the new
Butch.
Geist.
Butch
Butch
Geist.
Geist. Yeah, right around. So Butch Geist, the history of Butch Geist, basically when he first kind of came on to Micronauts, it was very very similar to Michael Golden, to which some of the covers I feel like are Michael Golden covers, and they're not. They're Butch Geist covers. And then he left to go do, I believe it was an epic one with Sword and gosh, I forget
Yeah.
what it was called.
Here's a little something for you, Mark.
Him and Mantlo left, and they did Sword of Swashbucklers. Does that sound right?
So Butch Geist, Jackson Geist didn't have work after Micronauts. So what did he draw? He drew a story from Megaton. Gary Carlson's
Oh,
Megaton. I think number 1 and 2 have stories by Jackson Geist in it.
wow.
And then he comes back later and does a cover. And then he gets rehired again. He's like, because Gary Carlson's like, well, now that you're doing, because they were friendly, I think. He's like,
Mhm.
well, now that you're doing Marvel work, I can't afford you. He's like, yeah, you can. I got time. Like he was willing to take a pay cut to keep
Oh, wow.
working.
Hey,
I'm
you
like,
got
that's
want to keep going to keep some pages on the table, man. That's
yeah,
cool.
you know.
Yeah, but
So
that's
cool.
yeah, no, that's nice. Yeah, that's cool.
And for
Um,
those interested, just a quick shout out, because not only do we plug ourselves, but we want to plug our friend stuff. And I'm friendly with Gary Carlson. There is a Megaton trade that collects all of the Megaton comics 1 through 8, with a huge amount of extra materials in it. Um, it's really great. It's got early, like I said, Butch Geist, Angel Medina, Eric Larson, some Liefeld stuff, some Youngblood Liefeld stuff that I had never seen.
hmm.
So I think you can still buy it digitally. I know you can still order the trade. I think it's still on order. You can still order it. It came out about a year ago. Digitally, I guess on Comixology, you can't buy anything through the image site,
Yeah,
which
it's
sucks.
weird.
You
There's
used to
some.
be able to.
There's another site that just kind of started. I know that Walt is. There's
Omnibus.
another. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. I don't know. I never tried it. I think I downloaded it and was kind of looking at it. Got a couple free comics on there. But it's almost like a Netflix style. You can, but it had a handful of publishers on it, but not a ton. So
I don't know why you can't buy stuff on the Marvel app, right? Like,
buy stuff that you can. Well, you can offline stuff. You can down, but you have to be in the app. So you can. So say you're on a plane, you can download a bunch of comics, and then just like read them on the plane or
well, I
whatever.
mean, like, what about new issues, like brand new Marvel stuff? Like, can you download them and put them in your?
No, not in the Marvel app. No, like you have to buy them on the Kindle app.
I hate Kindle though.
I know. It's okay.
I know. I just want something better.
Yeah, we're just interested in something. I always felt that they should have done it should have been a situation where they should have done I feel, but now the files are kind of big. The art files are kind of big. I feel like it should you should have if you have layers of everything, you should be able to see everything.
Oh
So
yeah, we
say,
had conversation in the past, like
yeah, you
where
should be able to see pencils, then inks, then colors, then letters, then and then like the finished product.
like you buy your digital comic, but maybe if you want to spend like $1 more, you get the deluxe version, or maybe the
Yeah,
deluxe
director's
version
cut.
has the director's cut,
Mhm.
pencils, inks, colors, variant covers.
Right, right. Because
Something,
a lot
something.
of the digitals may not have the variant covers. You know.
No, they mostly don't.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just thought that this was interesting. And again, the artist I believe is on the cover A, which looks like Jackson Geis, or actually maybe cover C. I think cover C because I put yeah. So cover A, that's a Jackson, which looks exactly right.
Yeah, looks
But this
exactly.
is the artist, right?
That's weird looking.
Yeah, it's interesting. But see, like, look, Ram V's got some good partners, man. He's got Mike Perkins. He's got Evan Cagle who's doing New Gods. Mike Perkins did the Swamp Thing run. The Indian Swamp Thing run, which is good. He has Felipe Andrade who did the Layla Starr, and he did one book before that. But with Felipe Andrade, so Ramvi has some really good partners that he works with. Period. Like just really really cool. So this looks yeah. I mean, again, this is almost it's flirting with Vertigo, right? It's kind of like
It's
just
Flirtigo.
put this as Vertigo. Who cares? Would anyone be mad if this was Vertigo?
Yeah, but they wanted
Absolutely not.
to. First off, I heard they're bringing back Vertigo.
Yeah,
Um,
the newest Nice House on the Lake, which is 3 weeks late, by the way, um, it's going to have Vertigo, and they're going to reprint, I think, other issues of that because they ran out or whatever, and they're going to have the Vertigo logo on that. That's what I yeah, because we talked about that 3 weeks ago, three four
yeah,
weeks ago in the news. I'm like, your first book in print that has the Vertigo label is a reprint of like a number three. What are you talking about? Like, again, asinine. But anyway, this okay, fine. Listen, New Gods. I knew because I read Dawn Runner. I knew it was going to be something, and then I was very, very happy with it, and I'm really excited. I think number two comes out this week. So,
all right.
um, okay, Wildfire news. There was two people that so far that we've seen affected. This is Andrew Robinson, which I think he gets some Hollywood work, which is potentially why he's out there. He's currently doing Standstill, written by colorist Lee Lowridge for Image. But his house is gone. It's gone from Altadena, and I
Terrible.
think he did some storyboard stuff, but most notably the Dusty Star, which was Joe Pruitt. Is
Yes, that's what I
that
mostly
correct?
remember him for. Yeah.
Right. But worked on Scumbag. Was he the one fired from Scumbag? The Rick Remender? I feel like
Hmm.
there was an artist on Scumbag
I feel like no.
initially.
There was the first artist who drew the first issue or two decided he couldn't do a monthly book, so
Yeah.
he opted out, and I think he had to. I think Remender had to pay him off because if you're not going to do the whole series, Remender didn't want to share the rights 50-50. So I think
Right.
Remender had to give him a buyout.
Yeah.
Did it pay off though? I don't know because I don't think anything's ever going to happen. Like that book's over. And
It.
he got like
Yeah.
Eric Powell to fill in. Like after the original guy left, he just like called in all his
Well, that it
friends.
could have been that. Yeah, because the thing I like the most that he's done, which had the most.
Well, Remender's a Hollywood guy too now, so like I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
if these two kind of know each other.
Yeah. Robinson on. I think Andrew. Well, Andrew Robinson ended up doing after Tony Harris stopped doing the covers for Starman. He did the back end of that. They
Right.
collaborated on the last issue where it's a Tony Harris pencil, Andrew Robinson finish. But the Fifth Beatles, excellent. And I met the guy, I forget his name, Tvek, who wrote the Fifth Beatle, and he's not a comic guy. He never did a comic again, but he was at the Dark Horse booth a couple of years ago at Baltimore, I want to say, and he was kind of standing there, and someone was talking to him, and I was like, oh, I just want to tell you, I really enjoyed this. But that's an excellent, excellent book, The Fifth Beatle, which is all about Brian Epstein. Not Brian, is that right? Yeah, Epstein
That
has a
sounds
bad
right, but it sounds
connotation.
bad to say it.
I know. Yeah, it's a ruined name. It's a ruined name now.
Did you
Way to go.
see what was the John Mulaney sketch? He's like what was his character's name? He's running for office, but his name's Harvey Epstein. So it's like the worst two
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
people.
Yeah. And he's bald and it's like, yeah. He's like, but I'm not that. Yeah, that
Speaking of
was
Mulaney, just by chance the video came up for Neverending Story, the original video. like
Mhm.
in my feed somewhere. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy looks like John Mulaney. Like I can see John Mulaney wearing a wig, looking like the singer of the original Neverending Story song.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
It's just kind of funny. It almost looked like it could be a sketch when the video starts
It could
up.
be a Jimmy Fallon like when he does the recreations of things.
Yes,
That's
yes.
pretty funny. Jimmy Fallon did him and Jamie Lee Curtis redid the was it Perfect with the John Travolta and
Oh
Jamie Lee
yeah,
Curtis where like she's like basically like just moving her hips and like
yeah, like
fucking John
yeah, thrusting.
Travolta,
Yeah,
eye
yeah.
fucking him. So they
Yes.
redo that, but Jamie Lee Curtis, it's like Jamie Lee Curtis now is 70 years old, and I'm like, that just still looks great. It's still it's fine, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. She
but
remember at one point she's like, "I'm giving up. I'm an old woman. It's okay to look like an old woman." But then she never fully like looks like
yeah,
bad.
no,
Yeah, she still looks
no.
fine. Like like you're right
Uh,
on.
Also on the SNL, do you remember when it was Kristen Wiig did Jamie Lee Curtis when Jamie Lee Curtis was doing all
Yes.
the Activia
Uh-huh.
commercials?
That was
And then
hilarious.
she would like she's like, oh, let me have another one, let me have another one, and they're filming it. It's behind the scenes of them filming
Because she doesn't know it's a
these
probiotic like
yeah, it's a
type of medicine.
probiotic because that's the way the commercials were. They're like, it's a big deal. Who cares? Let's just have some yogurt. Like she's with people.
Yeah.
And then so they're filming it, and then she's actually having the yogurt on the set, and then she's like, oh boy, oh boy. So yeah, that's really funny.
You know, it's funny. I thought you were going to say because Kirsten Wig also did it like an aerobic style skit one time, and she had the same type of outfit as Jamie Lee
Oh, okay.
Curtis.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't remember that one. And this is
So
I never read. Did you ever read Canto? I never
no,
read this.
no,
This is the writer of Canto, but his house is also gone. There it is, gone.
that's
David Booher. That's horrible.
it is horrible. You know who else lost their house? Mark Verheiden from
From
Time Cop.
Aliens and Time
Yeah,
Cop
yeah, yeah.
and
His house.
early. He wrote kind of every early. Did he do the American? Does
Yes,
that sound right?
that
Yeah.
was him.
So that was
Which is
kind of
funny.
every early Dark Horse had some type of like Mark Verheiden, and he wrote for Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, the Ronald Moore.
Well, that's what's funny because like he kind of disappears from comics. Then he comes back and he does Superman with Ed Benes, right? He
Yeah,
did a good run on
good run.
Superman with
Yeah,
Ed
yeah, yeah.
Benes.
Yep. And that was Ed Benes
Did he do?
coming.
Did he do any Wolverine? I forget. I know
Yeah,
Mark
I
Guggenheim
feel
did.
like he's a
I
good
feel it.
utility player. He's a good drop in.
Yeah.
I've never read like a bad issue that he's ever done. But that's yeah. Again, I don't even know. I don't understand. I work in mortgages, and we talked about Florida with all the hurricanes a year or two ago, and kind of concurrently, Florida, Mississippi, all the homeowners insurance went up 20, 30, 40%. I have no idea what the home, so everyone's mortgage payment's going to go up. So when I'm talking to people about their mortgages and you guys are jerks, my payment went up. I'm like, yeah, your homeowner's insurance, but it's not, we're just collecting it in escrow to pay or this, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I don't understand how, oh, and I don't know if you've watched any of the clips, but number two things, Steve Gutenberg
Right.
moved a bunch of cars in Palisades because he lived in Palisades. His house burned down. I don't know. His house is gone, by the way. But he was on the news. He gets interviewed on the news about moving cars. So someone's like, if you abandon your car and you're walking or whatever, just leave your keys in your car because I'm going to move your car. So Steve Gutenberg is moving cars. Um, who was on Rogan? Mel Gibson was on Rogan when his house was burning down, right? And then he went on like Laura Ingraham the next day, and he looked like he didn't sleep at all. It's kind of horrible, but he just was just going nuts. So he just said that he thinks that Los Angeles, they turned off the water, that they've been
Yeah.
siphoning off water for a while, which
There's
sounds
a
really
lot of
weird.
no, there's a lot of conspiracy theories. Don't follow that line in too much.
I love it.
Somebody was
I'm
complaining like,
not, but
oh
I love all like it's not that but yeah, I seem to kind of
no,
rabbit hole
conspiracy
into
theories
that
fun.
stuff.
They're fun if you know they're mostly fake.
Yeah,
I mean, there's sometimes there is you find out things years later that things are real. But
yeah.
like, yeah, California should almost have. I don't know. We almost need to branch in the military just to keep saving us from all of these natural disasters because they're just getting worse.
Mm.
The winds are worse. It's drier. It's wetter. All depending on where you live. Here in New Jersey, we had a 2-month drought, which we've never had like in our lifetimes.
Right, right.
We've had a whole month of like 90 to 100-degree weather.
And they had controlled fires not 10 miles from me. Controlled fires.
Yeah, we do control fires here, which is super smart.
Yeah,
We've had bad fires here, and they're usually accidental. The ones in California were set on purpose, right? There were arsonists, some of them,
they found a couple arsonists. Yeah, which is
which is
horrible.
just it is horrible. So we need some sort of branch of the military. Like we don't need Space Force right now. I'm not saying we won't need it eventually, but
Mhm.
like we need like Earth Force. We need like U.S. Force who just like yeah, we're getting a hurricane. Let's prepare these people. Let's get them out. Let's bunker down. Let's show these people how to protect themselves, and then we fix it. California, you get fires. We should have like they should just have a tremendous amount of things ready because it's going to happen. If you get a good year, you might have a good year or two, but you're going to get a bad year following.
Right,
Eric
right,
Larson, famous for losing the Oakland fires of like
right.
91 or 90, 91,
90.
91, I think. Because it was when he was working on, here's how we date things. He was working on Spider Man, the ejected version, the year before Image came out. Image is 92. That's how I remember.
Well, that's just how we're gonna date it. But because what was he? Did he have to truncate his run? Is that when we had the
They let him.
McDaniel?
I guess it was only going to be 5 issues. Right, right. That's what happened. He
Mm,
had two shorter issues, and then yeah, because McFarlane. You remember all of McFarlane's storylines were 5 issues.
mm, right,
5-2, 5-2.
right. But if you're doing the Sinister Six, it might as well be six. But yeah, it did kind of. I don't know if it was announced as six. I think it just said part. I don't think it said of. I think it says
Yeah,
part one, part two, and then bad backups by it was Kavanaugh, Terry Kavanaugh. I want to
Derek
say Scott
Kavanaugh and
McDaniel.
Scott McDaniel. Yeah,
Scott McDaniel. So here's some Millar World stuff. Um, so I don't know what this is. This was just kind of a blurb. So this
it's a
is
blur because it doesn't say anything, right?
yeah, it doesn't say. It says they're both working on a new comic now. It's just for it's yeah, subsequent to
Hugely controversial. It'd be controversial if Mark Miller told the truth in a story.
he
That's a
does
whole.
not.
That's a.
yeah,
He exaggerates. He's a salesman. We'll put it at that.
yeah.
Um,
He's lied personally
yeah, he
to
literally lied to me to my face. I'll just tell the story.
yeah.
Nick Barucci, Dynamic Forces, Dynamite Comics is close to us. And back when I think you were gone from the store at this point, our friends come in. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna bring Mark Miller over for lunch." And we're like, "Yeah," to the local comic store Legends. We're like, "Yeah, bring him over." So he comes over. Could be a nicer guy. I had met him once before, um, at like a signing in Philly at Fat Jack's.
Yeah.
So he comes in and he's he's telling us this, telling us that, and he's like, oh, I was thinking about moving to New Jersey. Me and Vince, who I didn't know Vince at the time was actually Frank Quitely. Frank Quitely is just a pen name. His real name's like Vincent something or other.
Oh my
It's like
gosh.
me and Vince are thinking about moving here to Runnymede. He were going to move to Runnymede,
Runnymede.
South Jersey. And then and then he starts telling us the Wanted movie story and how uh, Eminem called him. He's like, Eminem called me. He goes, I didn't believe him, and I hung up on him. Then he calls me back. He's like, no, I want to play this guy. I see him in the comic, and I want to play Wesley, right? I think his name's
Yeah,
Wesley and Wanted.
yeah.
And then you find, and years later, he's like, oh, I never really wanted Eminem. I never
Right,
talked
right,
to him. What are you talking about? I'm like, you son of a bitch. You told me he called you on the phone.
right,
Like,
right, right. Yeah, he has a lot of tall tales. To kind of when he was starting his Miller World stuff, there was a lot of tall tales. So this was a little something. But listen, if you want to get, because again, I feel that uh, you need to get Ramita Jr. away from Marvel. I feel like they're just keep giving him projects. He's not challenged. They're going to put him on another Spider-Man book. He's not challenged. Like I feel like when he went to Thor, that was challenging for him. He's drawing big Kirby-esque giant character designs of like these different really weird looking characters. Some of like there were like new goddish looking things. Um,
I think the problem is Spider-Man just pays the best, and he demands a high salary.
sure, yeah,
I would prefer to see him on the Hulk. It'd be cool to see a Hulk annual or a couple issues by him. He draws great monsters and demons.
yeah, yeah. He drew a great Hulk run. He drew
Yeah,
for
he
with
drew a
Bruce
great Hulk
Jones.
run. I'd like to
So
see him on FF. Especially when what was it? Was it FF the End? That I think they got
it
Martin
was either the
Holloway.
end or Final Adventure. Was it the
Right. It
Final
was
Adventure? One of the
right.
two.
D one of the two. I think the End was Alan Davis's miniseries. Right. I think he
Mhm.
got the End. Well, that's a great one shot, and I think Stan Lee ends up like, does he plot it and script it, or
It
he
was a
does something
lost
with it?
issue of Fantastic Four. Yeah, in the era of like 100 ish, one to 120, 130.
Right.
and it was a Kirby because there was some Kirby sketches for it, but it never materialized.
But
So
the
yeah, it's like
but
the Lost
but
Adventure.
Martin
Yeah.
Hollowell colored it, I think, and it looks so good. He's such a good colorist. He definitely made McNiven like look even better. I don't even know what he's doing now.
I don't know. I don't think we've seen. I don't think we've seen his name
Sometimes
recently.
these people, like at one point last year, I didn't know what Tim Townsend had been doing. So me and Milligan were talking. So he just looks him up. He's like, oh, he's been doing Pacello on almost everything. He's just been like Pacello exclusive. Um, so I don't know. It's just funny. You just forget where they are, and here they could just be in plain sight. But I'm still a fan of Miller. I still read everything of his. I know the article you're selling is like he's doing a new book, Vatican City. That's an easy book to be made into a Netflix movie. You
Yeah.
know, he did it basically a whole take on Epstein Island. This last issue of Nemesis, it's like crazy.
Oh yeah. I did pull a couple picks from it because I just kind of I skimmed it.
Okay, all
I,
right.
I I have to read. I have to. Yeah, I didn't read that. I don't know. I wasn't crazy about that artist, but he has a couple artists now that I don't know if they're a
Yeah, I feel
hundred.
like he'll launch a book with a A-lister, and then like when it comes to the second, third miniseries, he'll find people that are kind of good,
They're coming
like
up.
like
Yeah.
no names. I know he pays them better than anyone else, so yeah, that these artists could be someone fantastic soon.
Um,
So
did you see this? This was an article about I guess it was in 90, what's it, 2007. There was a Micah and Laura Allred pitch for Amazing Adventures of X-Men. How did that not get picked up? What do you mean? You know what I mean? So then, yeah, so it basically he switched everyone's characters. Yeah, the main thing to keep in mind is these costumes should have no design connection to their X-Men black and yellow uniforms, nor should they have any kind of X-related iconography involved. They're not going out as the X, maybe because it was probably too far away from it, and then so yeah, so everyone had alternate names: Master Blaster for Cyclops,
so
Avenging
it was a
Angel for
story that was
Angel.
going to take place in the past. That was kind of like post, I guess during the reprint era, before like Champions and stuff, right? Is that when
Yeah,
this is taking place?
it doesn't really. It's yeah, I can't really tell from that. I'm sure it's deeper in the Substack.
Okay. Well, it says here that it's like, oh, it's Avenging Angel. Oh, it's Angel goes back to his. All right. I was thinking because he tried being something right after the X Men.
Hmm.
All right. That would have been a cool series. That would have been cool. Yeah.
I
This.
just don't know how it doesn't get stamped, man. I just don't know how like an Howard thing doesn't get greenlit. That's confusing to me.
I don't.
I
I
you
don't
know
know. You feel like he's always working, so you just feel like every hour thing gets stamped.
yeah.
So, but sometimes it doesn't. They mentioned Children of the Atom miniseries that Steve Rude drew, or drew most of it. I don't know how good that sold. That was an expensive book, and really
Right. Right.
kind of got a little boring.
Yeah.
I don't recall like loving it. I've never reread it.
No, I never read the what was the KC book he did? It was like the what was the Avengers book he did?
Now that was
Was
actually good.
was it Scott Collins, and then the second one I think was like William Rosado or something like that.
Yeah, I like that book actually. That was like
I never read it. I never read it.
first might have been like a first year type of situation.
This I think he put this out on the Substack. I didn't. This is crisscross. This is actually kind of interesting because
Right. This is
I
series
haven't
artist.
seen. Yeah, so this is. I don't even think it's a cover A. Cover A is Alex Ross. It's cover B.
Okay.
Um, this is a
That's
great
a
looking cover. This is a great drawing, man.
that's a hard argument. We're always like series artists should be the artist, especially when
Yes,
they're a good artist. But it's like, oh, we got Alex Ross. You're like, all right, you can't.
he's probably the only person I would put on A. Like, I mean, because I'll tell you what, the Fantastic Four issues that have been coming out, I feel like it's after having like 25 issues of him doing it. Which, if did you see? You don't own the Alex Ross Full Circle or whatever that's called. You don't own that, right?
Yeah,
You don't have a copy of that.
yeah. I have a copy of
Um,
that. I read it.
I want to sell mine, man, because I want the expanded edition
I know. Yeah, I
has
know.
like it's four times the story. It's like four or five. It's a ton. It's like 200 pages of extras. It's every like sketch of page. It's a bunch of
Dude,
designs,
Alex Ross
and
holds
it's
on to
every
everything
cover. It's every cover of the run he did.
of the Ryan. Yeah. Dude, does it
Of the
have
Ryan
his
North run.
pitch? Does it have his FF pitch in it?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
he was trying to pitch FF, prior to all this,
yeah. And
prior
they
to Ryan
basically
North's run.
they're like we'll take the four. We'll take the
Yeah.
logo and the drawings if that's okay. Hey man, whatever.
So
I guess that does okay. But yeah, I kind of love this. This drawing looks great.
it
You
is.
know,
I love Chris Cross. I was a big fan of his Captain Marvel run, his Slingers
Oh yeah,
series with Joe Harris. I liked
Slingers,
that.
baby.
I liked the Thunderbird has. He went back to his Thunderbird costume. I'm sure there's a reason for that because they did give him a new, more kind of Native American authentic costume. It's still blue and red.
This
And
is Warpath. I don't understand.
no, this is Thunderbird.
So
This is the
is he
older brother.
alive?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, they brought Thunderbird back. He's like the last X-Man to be revived because he was like the first one to die. That was during the Krakoan age.
no.
So he came back, angry at Cable for like putting his brother's life at risk. He's like, he can't be now. It was a kind of a good story. They reconnect. They go back to the reservation and kind of try to fix things up. But he went and got himself a new costume, a new look, so he doesn't like go against what like. Well, no, even Warpath has like a different costume now. So I guess nobody's using this. So go back to the original. It works. It's a Dave
I
Cockrum
guess.
design,
Yeah,
dude. You
I
you
guess.
can't beat Cockrum.
No. I like Cable's design's a little bit different too. So it's I like that gun. That foreshortening on that gun is nuts.
Yeah, that's wacky.
Yeah.
That's neat. The lines.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, and Deadpool looks great. So and so I don't like I feel like the logo should be different. I feel like the logo, I don't know if it should be weapon up here and then X-Men at the bottom. I don't know. There's something with
Mm,
I feel
it
like
looks
what
it looks fake in this image,
yeah,
and
I
it
feel
might
like
be. It might be, Mark,
it's
because there's
yeah.
no price here. There's no Marvel box. We could get something a little different. Yeah, I could see the weapon being a little higher up, maybe like 50% higher.
I guess I don't like the white bleed through too, right? Weepon. Like it doesn't like the W doesn't differentiate itself.
Uh,
Look, listen, go back to if Liefeld created that the Youngblood logo behind it, give me the depths. Well, the original the X-Men logo, and I'll fact check this. I'm about 95% this is true. The X-Men logo that we all know, Steranko designed when Steranko did a couple issues for X-Men. I want to say that design, and I want to say they kept that logo. Period. I really want to go into like who did what logos because I know that there's a lot of the internal stuff that we like about Conan because Joe Rosen did like 150 issues of Conan, and that like the way that it's formatted with like here's the story title and there's this and so I feel like they need to do something like that. But I would love it if they would credit like the logo, the most recent Batman logo under the Zarsky run. That's designed by Jorge Jimenez. He showed that on his Instagram. He designed that.
so
That's
that's
pretty cool.
cool.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I feel like logos should be. Uh, you should get credit for what you do. Somewhere inside that book, they have plenty of space. They put so much crap inside their comics. But
Look,
on the review
yeah,
title page, put it in there. Original logo designed by so and so.
you just leave it. Listen, I have a ton of templates for my Instagram and I just leave certain things in there, but I try to credit everybody. I like that. And also Todd, if you ever looked at I'm a big letter geek anyway, but Todd Klein has a crazy good like blog still. And he goes into Irv Watanabe. He did they're pretty sure he did the John Carter logo, John Carter Warlord of Mars logo. I know he did the Conan logo or the Tarzan logo rather.
Here's where I
So
here's where I spiral out in two different directions. I think Crazy Magazine did like a parody called Jimmy Carter, Warlord of Mars. Just funny.
rest in
Um,
peace.
Rest in peace, Jimmy Carter. Um, yeah, so it's crazy. So Warlord of Mars, is it I guess it's kind of a dynamite, but it's not officially a dynamite, right?
I am not sure of the logistics, though. I'm not sure.
Is that public domain?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Because Marvel had it, then what? Dark Horse got it. I don't know who's had it
Dark
since.
Horse didn't do any new things. They only had reprint rights, so they had the rights to reprint the Marvel, and I think they reprinted the Gold Key as well.
So Marvel did something really smart because Kill Raven, they just turned they I don't know. Oops, I misspoke there. Cut that out. Cut. No, because Kill Raven, they did something smart with Kill Raven to where like we got War of the Worlds rights, and then we spin
Mhm.
Kill Raven out of it. But then somehow they managed to keep the rights to Kill Raven without having the rights to War of the Worlds.
Right.
So I almost wonder
Uh,
like the character Circuit from Transformers is owned by Marvel.
okay.
even though they created her for Transformers. So fun. It's funny how some things like Marvel definitely created Transformers that Hasbro never intended to use. So
Right,
Hasbro,
right,
I guess,
right.
owns them. How many
Well,
extra GI Joe characters did Larry Hama create on top of the GI Joes?
right, right, right. Well, also the Death's Head, they had and this has been debunked. There's if you go on to YouTube and look up, there's two videos by this guy where he does it. It's called Death's Head like conspiracy or something like that. But Death's Head conspiracy,
Okay.
Hasbro. And there's two videos. The guy put like two 20-minute videos where he's just freaking out because he pulled different interviews with Simon Furman saying this or saying that. The publication of like whatever one shot that came out, it was some type of like reprint. They did a 1-page story of Death's Head, and clearly everyone knows this. And it's half confirmed by. It's literally dated like 1986 or I think it's 86 or 87 in the corner.
Hmm?
But all the Death's Head stuff is signed on the cover by Jeff Senior, and it's signed 86 or something. Like it's clearly, but they did the loophole because if they have it in the Transformers comic, then Hasbro owns Death's Head. Now the funny thing is that Death's Head was also in Doctor Who magazine. So like there's so Death's Head literally is combining the Doctor Who, Transformers universe, and Marvel universe, and what Simonson, because I think Simon just liked the designer. They hired Simonson. I would love to know why Simonson is connected to Death's Head, but Simonson did the cover of this magazine where they had this Death's Head, the body in question, like serial, which Marvel here put out as like a graphic novel, the body in question. They
Hmm.
put out its own graphic novel by itself. But Simonson did one of the covers there, and then when Simonson took over FF, he has Death's Head show up with a TVA. So
What you need to do,
technically he's
Mark,
part of the TVA.
is have a notebook or have a somewhere notes, right? Walter Simonson questions to ask him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because if
He's
we ever
around.
interview, yeah, he is.
Yeah,
We see him at shows. He's a nice guy. But what I'm thinking is we need to start compiling questions now for people we want to interview in the future. You know,
yeah, 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 yeah. Like Kelly, like I have a ton of Kelly Jones, Kyle Haas questions. Like, yeah, you're right. We need to say like, well, how did this go? How did you get over there?
yeah,
how did this? Why were you interested in this? I would want to talk to Walt Simonson about his relationship with his students. Right, his students were his like prize student was John Paul Leon. You know what I mean? Like and Tommy Lee Edwards and
ooh, right, right, right.
some of that class that came out right in that timeline. I don't know if Stuart Eminem was in that mix or not, but like he has a class of people that are huge, that are very prominent or
That's funny.
unfortunately passed away. But yeah, his prized because he's had different interviews about him, or he had books in DC that he wrote, and then he's like, I'm giving it to my students. That must be pretty cool. That's kind of what Kubrick did. He had people
Yeah,
just
yeah.
work for him. He's like, okay, I'm going to do our army at war, and by the way, you're going to do the backgrounds, you're going to do this, and so all right, here we go. Here's some more
Spiral back.
news. Here we go. There's some toy stuff, right?
Is this Super 7?
Super 7. Yep, they're doing reaction figures here. But what's cool about this is and these look so much like regular Micronauts because Micronauts didn't really do anything, you know? So you have a Baron Karza. I didn't have I thought I had a better version of that. But I like the on the back, like that power grid looks so much like a Transformers power grid.
Yes.
I don't know if it's supposed to be or not, but the art is really good. The Biotron was a Marvel creation. Baron Cars is a Marvel creation. So most of the Micronauts, I think there's only like two Micronauts out of the original lineup that are actual Micronauts. The whole story of Micronauts
Yeah.
actually
Go
happening
on.
is that was Christmas, and all these toys were being played with by Bill Mantlow's kids, and they're like, and then so Bill Mantlo asked Marvel, he's like, hey, can we get this license? Can I write this? And then he made up his old and gigantic continuity of Micronauts. This Micronauts was just a toy line.
Yeah.
There's no cartoon. There's no, I don't know.
Not that I know of.
I'll have to go look. There's Secret Galaxy, Dan. It's a good YouTube channel, but he does 15-minute, 20-minute deep dives on a subject, whether it be Thundercats, Transformers, Micronauts, Silverhawks. I'm
You
sure you
know,
did.
it's a shame
Black Star. Where's Black
that
Star reference?
it's a shame that like Bill Mantlo didn't have the foresight to be like, "Hey, I really like these Micronauts toys. We should do a book similar to it and
Right.
just make it all our own." Because they went and
Right.
created they created a whole bunch of concepts and characters, and it didn't own it. It was all owned by Hasbro.
Yeah,
Like had
technically.
they could have just did their own series of the small verse, or something, the small soldiers, something.
Yeah,
It didn't have to be Micronauts.
because technically, Ant-Man 3. Why can't I think about what's Ant-Man 3 called again? I don't even
Into
remember.
the Quantum verse, right? Quantum Mania.
Quantum Mania. Yeah, that technically is the Micronauts universe. Like, and to the point where I thought the one main character guy was like, oh, that's a Croyer. There's no way that's not like. I feel like a lot of the characters that they had were very similar to that.
Yeah.
Um, again, I only saw that once. I just remember being very brown and it was very green screeny and just I don't know. But yeah, you're right. But it is funny that, and I don't
Because
know
you
how this
legit
works
just
now.
saw, because you just saw Lucas a couple of years earlier take Flash Gordon and turn it into Star Wars.
Right.
So the idea of
Right.
like, and Micronauts obviously predates Transformers, and they Marvel. That's what year did Micronauts one come out?
Oof, 79, 80.
So it's funny. So that's Micronauts is riding the Star Wars wave, but it predates the GI Joe Transformers wave.
Right. So it's
It gets
licensed,
lost.
sold. Correct. Yeah.
It's as a toy, as a series of toys. It always I don't know how popular it was. I didn't have any as a kid. I didn't even know what the Micronauts were until I
No.
discovered the comic. You know, Unfortunately, just like I didn't know what the what were the big robot toy line called? Shogun Warriors. I didn't know about
Dragon
Shogun
Warriors.
Warriors until I
Yeah.
was older, which
Yeah.
really pissed me
And
off because I always wanted a Godzilla toy and never had one.
I had a Godzilla Dragon Warrior. And I
Spoiled Mark.
don't know how it's not in that house. I don't know. My dad doesn't throw anything out, and I have no idea how that's not. And I've looked through that house
Mark,
a couple times.
I
It's not
blame
in
your
there.
brother.
He probably took it.
He probably did.
Threw it out.
Or sold it. Sold it for date money. He sold it to Chris Wilson behind your back.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Chris Wilson, I think he bought Walt's Alien, the oversized Alien glow in the dark.
yeah, I think
toy.
you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. Well, I was going to say like Rom basically had 75 issues and 4 annuals off of like a toy that failed. It literally was in Time magazine as like the worst toy ever. Like it was like it literally like came out and failed immediately. I'm not, and I don't know how that's not like someone doesn't produce that or Hasbro can't you? Well, I guess that's tricky.
And how
Marvel
great?
Legends is who? That's Hasbro. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Come on, man. You just got the Micronauts like back. You know what I mean? Like, and I wonder because what's the stipulation for Super Seven? Super Seven's allowed to do Transformers.
That can't transform.
Can't transform.
Right.
Super Seven has a lot of Godzilla specific licensee stuff, which is different.
It's specific. It's older toys.
Listen,
They try to stick some of the older designs. Micronauts is interesting. Like I know this is the reaction line, so this doesn't look like a modern Hasbro toy because Hasbro owns Micronauts, but they don't do anything with it because they can't do anything with it.
well, let's explain the reaction. So, reaction toys basically are meant to look like early Mattel Star Wars. Like, look at like these 3.5-inch toys.
Yes.
Basically, didn't do a whole lot. Not that well molded. And there's Michael Myers. There's a ton. I don't know.
The coolest line they did was the Aliens line because they went back and got the Kenner designs from the early '80s. Because they were going to do an Aliens toy line. We got the big Alien toy, which is awesome, but they were going to do a lines of Star Wars size figures, and they're like, we can't. It's a rated R movie for Alien. Like it just doesn't make sense. Just like the Conan the Barbarian toys didn't make sense.
Thank God.
But Super 7 got the designs and they made those toys as though they came out in 1979.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's a good thing that Conan came out and was rated R. It's a good thing that John Milius is crazy and made it a hard R where they were like, nah. And then we have He-Man and the
Masters we got Master Universe.
The Universe.
See, there's another company that profited by not going with a licensed thing. The first Mario Brothers game was a Popeye license until Popeye pulled the license, and they turned it into Mario Brothers.
Is that right? I didn't know that. Is that true?
Yes, yes,
Oh
that's
my god.
100% true.
Oh my
So like you're
god.
talking major stuff here, Mark.
Yeah.
Major IP. You know,
Mm.
Cyberforce. Mark Silvestri's Cyberforce was an X-Men pitch. Shadowhawk was a retake on Archie's The Fox. Youngblood is a combination of Teen Titans, and Legion.
Leader. Whew.
All
Sorry, I
right.
could yawn. Um,
So
Here's another. So I have some McFarlane stuff in here, but this I thought I was surprised at how bad this mold is. Right? Who's that guy?
the
Do you know what
face
that looks like?
doesn't.
Looks like Pacey. Looks like Joshua Jackson. That's Pacey's
I can see
face.
that. I can see that.
Right?
It's
Weird.
a McFarlane multiverse Mr. Freeze toy. The toy itself looks kind of cool. It
And
doesn't
it
look like.
glows in the dark.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty awesome. But again, and again, if you're giving me the card, don't give me a complete reference. Look, all I'm saying is the technology is that we've seen toys that are ridiculously look uncanny. Like what's the one that's like ridiculous? The Ant Man. Speaking of that, Paul Rudd's Ant Man figure where he's smirking looks exactly like Paul Rudd. Like it's a $10-$20 figure. Like that's a cool one.
Yeah,
But
it's a funny one because they do a 3D model of you. You go into a booth and they 3D image you. And Angelina Jolie years ago when they did a toy line based off of Beowulf, her character
mm,
Beowulf, because she's kind of nude for it. She's like, yeah, I was uncomfortable with how good the modeling is on the character and the toys because it's me, it's just me.
right.
She's like everything's there. She's like
Wow.
everything is there.
I like that Beowulf movie.
I liked it too.
I like it. It's a little. There's a couple little uncanny valley stuff, but other than that, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? It's funny. I wonder if they made that movie less Polar Express looking and more cartoonish. I wonder if it would have been a bigger hit. I do like that movie though.
I like it. I like it because it feels very much like Excalibur. It feels like a '70s movie because again, in the middle of it, someone just starts singing. Like there's a lot of like really
Oh yeah,
cool
that's right.
and then you're just in it. Like it's not a second or two. It's not like in what was it, Justice League, the Snyder Cut where people start singing for like a minute. You're like, what was this? What's this? What's happening?
No, no, it fits
Um,
there. It fits there like the way Crispin Glover played Grendel, right?
yeah.
What a creepy take on him.
Uh,
I love Crispin
that gets
Glover.
me that gets me uncomfortable thinking about it. Correct. Yeah. Uh, right off, straight off.
It's a success if Mark feels uncomfortable. You
Yeah.
feel uncomfortable usually before other people do. Like your sensitivity comes through first.
That's correct. That is the correct assumption. I'll start crying before everyone else does. I'll know,
You'll get sick to your stomach, or you'll turn away first, or
correct.
leave a movie
I'll
theater
leave.
yeah.
I'll leave and throw up outside. That's correct. Good times.
Good
Good times,
times.
everybody. Necessary layoffs. Good times. All right. So
Standing in the bread lines.
we we want now. Listen, we want
Rest in
DC as
peace.
number
Rest in peace,
two.
John Amos.
Right. Rest in peace, Jimmy Walker. Actually, Jimmy Walker might still be alive.
I think he is
Um,
alive.
I think he is alive.
Just the dad passed this year.
Yeah, which he was old in 1978 when that show was on. You know what I mean? That show was serious. Oh, by the way, I think it's called My So Called Gen X Life. I think it's what that's called. There's a channel on YouTube where just look up a very special episode where this woman compiles. She's our age, I think. She compiles a very special episodes, and she has three of
Ooh.
them, and she does the clips. Now I don't remember There's one where I think Michael P. Keaton, or Alex P. Keaton, Michael J. Fox, rather. I combined the two. Michael J. Fox, either he has like almost like a Christmas Carol, like what if he didn't exist type of
Oh,
episode
I remember that.
where it was in like there's fog machines and stuff, and he's walking through, and they're extra hippie, and like it really
Yeah.
seemed a little crazy. Now the biggest, very special episode, like the number one off the first one, is Tom Hanks as the drunk uncle, like throwing Alex across the room, as Tom Hanks doing like an I guess like an Emmy or almost like an Oscar worthy performance as drunk uncle, not drunk uncle,
I'll
not to
keep
be
an eye on that
confused
guy.
with yeah, you got the
The Bobby
newcomer
Moynihan's
Tom
Bobby
Hanks.
Moynihan's
Yeah.
SNL.
Oh yeah. Well, did you watch the SNL Christmas special? They had a drunk uncle clip from that. They had
Did I
drunk uncle.
God take a shot, Mark. I was hanging out with Liefeld one year at New York Comic Con, and I walked away to do whatever. When I came back, he's like, "Oh, you just missed Bobby Moynihan." I was like, "What?" He goes,
Mhm.
"You know, from SNL." I'm like, "No, I know who he is."
Yeah, he
And
lives in
then
Brooklyn. Yeah, or
yeah,
did.
and then he's a big comic fan. He actually wanted to be a comic book artist.
Oh, really? Oh,
So
that'd be
I'm curious
interesting.
to see how good Bobby Moynihan is. Like, if
Yeah.
I ever publish a comic, I'm like, can I get a Bobby Moynihan variant?
Can I have a variant cover? Yeah, yeah. You never listen. You never know. I mean, it's very possible.
All
There
those guys,
there
Bill
was
Hader, Seth, uh, they're all like big comic book guys. So anyway, so the thing is, so Liefeld drew him this picture. He didn't draw it then. I guess he drew it overnight of Drunk Uncle, and it's a really cool Liefeld
oh
Drunk
wow,
Uncle drawing
God, do you have that drawing? Do you have it
somewhere,
anywhere? Oh
somewhere.
my
I'll
God,
I'll try to find it. I'll make a
holy
note.
mackerel, that's good. Um, but I thought this lineup was good. So this is so here's the top 10 publishers basically, right? So um, Marvel's still a third, which is just surprising because I feel like every Marvel book is inaccessible to me. I feel like it's hard to give. And I'm going to put an insert here for this comic store I was at yesterday, Saturday.
Yeah,
Uh, Final Boss Comics in Lawrenceville. Shout out to Floyd. Shout out to Eric Thored. Super great guys. Really cool store. They had what I've been talking about. I've since the show started. I've been to probably 5 or 6 comic stores, and every store except for Main Street Comics up in Milltown, New Jersey. Every store, no one had a good jumping on point area. So here, they had all the absolutes. They had they had second and third prints of number one of all the absolute. The absolute was right there. So you had absolute Wonder Woman, absolute Batman. So you can get an absolute run of Batman there if you wanted to. Which this week would have been a great week to get 4. You do 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you imagine getting 1, 2, 3, 4? You go in a comic store and get 1, 2, 3, 4 absolute Batman.
that's
That's
awesome.
very accessible. That would be really good. Absolute Wonder Woman 1, 2, 3. Great. How fun is that? You know what I mean? Absolute Superman's just getting interesting. 1, 2, 3. You can't say that about the X Men reboot. You can't say it. There's no X Men. The only one that we like, I think, unabashedly, Awestruck approved, is like X Force. Which even then, you still have to know a lot of stuff. But
Yeah, that's a book like you
Uncanny and
appreciate
X
more.
Men are still holding on. Precious, my precious. Let go of the Krakoa. Like, don't you just left it? Stop talking about it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the problem is Krakoa sold better than what these books are selling now. Like all these books launched at high numbers,
Right.
and now they're gone. Now they're
But
not.
I got sick of Krakoa, which is why I stopped reading it. So I want to read something fresh, and now I feel like I'm reading something that's telling me I missed something. And then, like I said, I'm like, oh, why is that? Isn't that Warpath? You're like, no, it's Thunderbird. He came back during. I said, I don't remember, man. What?
Yeah,
You know what I
see,
mean? Like,
that's
so,
not good.
so I don't know. So I'm surprised there's still a third here. I'm not sure what that's about. And I don't know.
Technically,
I can't believe Star
I'm
Wars
surprised
would
it's so
be
low
as what they're 33.
because it's market share. See, market share is bullshit. Market share is just how many monthly books you're putting out, how many books you're putting out on the shelf. It's not
Uh,
how good your right market share. Yeah, it's not how good
yeah,
the books are selling. It's not a percentage of your books that you're selling. It's the amount of books you're putting out, and I think that's bullshit. Give me numbers where it's like, oh well, we technically, sold, 1.8 million comics this month.
yeah, 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 yeah,
That's a better number than just how many books you can print, how many books you can squeeze out. Right,
yeah.
right. I'm not wrong. Right, market share.
No, you're right. Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's right. But yeah, but I'd wish that. uh Yeah, so that you might be reading that like in a different way correctly, but it is interesting that Titan is 9. The Titan popped over Oni. Titan. They have one book basically, right? They have
It's funny. They're tie with Oni, and I think what's saving Oni right now. Titan's got Conan, phenomenal. You love it. Old
yeah,
people love this book.
old.
Oni's right there because they got the EC books, which are all pretty good.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I got into a thing this week where I just read like 10 anthology books in a row. I was just so into it.
Mm.
Like the date, like I'm real into Bruce Jones 80s anthology books. Bruce Jones wrote
Oh,
for
I see.
Creepy, Eerie, but I
Oh, so you're
really
talking about
love.
not just the new ones that have been coming out, like Creep Show and stuff, right? You're talking
No,
about like,
no, I'm actually talking about the new ones, but I'm just saying it's reminiscent of like early
oh, I
days
see.
of collecting because you could find Alien Planet, uh, Tales of Terror. You could find all those Bruce Jones books from Eclipse and other companies because I think it switched companies in the middle. You could find them real cheap back in the early '80s or the late
Yeah,
'80s when we started collecting.
I have Star Reach. Like
Star Reach is fun.
I have like almost a full run of Star Reach. Then it's Star Reach Classics, which is kind of reprints or different pieces of stuff. But yeah,
I
there's
think
a lot.
Art Adams has two stories in Alien Planets, I think, or Alien Encounters. I think one of them is in a 3D special. There you go, Art Adams. You want to find some old, good Art Adams stuff? Some Steve Root covers,
Art Adams had a
Dave
with
Stevens cover.
speaking. I know we just talked about Micronauts, but Micronauts Volume 3 just came out, and the direct market
The omnibus.
the omnibus, yeah, the omnibus direct market cover is a unpublished, rejected Micronauts pinup, recolored. Have you seen that? I'll put it up here. But
Yes,
like,
sure.
what are you talking about? Like, and you can see the original art online and stuff like that. I think Heritage had or something. But like, oh my god, you rejected this? What are you kidding me? Like, you know what I mean? It's just really funny.
He was a nobody.
Now he was hired. He did do a cover or two of New Voyages. I think he did New Voyages. One of my first comic books was New Voyages, Micronauts, New Voyages #2, which had an Art Adams. I want to say it was a Butch Guy's cover that had because it was kind of like the Master of Kung Fu formula, right? So you had like original, you had Jim Starlin. Jim Starlin did a handful of covers, but Galassi was drawing it. Galassi leaves Zek's on it. Who does the covers? Galassi. Galassi leaves. The Day brothers, Dan Day does it. Who does the covers? Zek. Like it was just always kind of one off. So Golden leaves. Golden still does covers for a while. Butch Guice is on it. He does covers. Butch Guice leaves, still doing covers. So it's a handful of things. So yeah, I guess on this, I mean, there is a pretty big drop. Image IDW lost some ground, but IDW still ahead of Dark Horse. Boom, I can't even really concept what Boom has right now. IDW is Turtles. Dark Horse still holding in the top five. They don't.
Well,
They
yeah,
have
because
Hellboy,
Dark Horse came back, with
Hellboy, Black Hammer. I
they have the Kevin Smith stuff this year.
Yeah,
They have the Bendis stuff. They have all the Bendis stuff. They have some of the Scott Snyder stuff, although I don't know if anything new's come out with that stuff. They originally
yeah,
got
the
the deal.
Comixology reprints,
Yeah,
right? Exactly. So they came out Comixology originals. They made a deal that if they went to print, they're going to Dark Horse.
right. And you had and Jeff Lemire still doing stuff for them.
Yeah. So right,
So
exactly.
I thought Dark Horse was kind of. I really thought Dark Horse would eventually go away when they started losing the licenses, and you got Image right there who has a great creator deal,
Mhm.
but no, they keep holding on. So I guess good for them. And I don't want to see comic companies go away. It's just sometimes you look at it and you're like, what do we need them for?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
IDW. Like, do we need IDW? You would think like Paramount would just make a deal with Image or Dark Horse or Marvel. No,
I
not
don't know
Marvel.
what I think IDW is going to try and rebrand and go back into some of the horror stuff because the new logo that no one really likes, and I don't really have a problem with it now that I've
Right.
seen it a couple more times. I don't think about it.
Sometimes you just get
Um,
used to it.
yeah, I don't think about it, but they might lean in because they listed a bunch of horror titles that are not here yet, like not and I was like, well, they don't have that, do they? So I feel like they signed a bunch of horror stuff.
Well, I think there's
Uh,
going to be a horror. If they do that, I worry about a horror glut because between all the EC anthologies, Image has horror anthologies.
mhm.
The Dark Horse has horror stuff that we're going to talk about in the reviews this week.
The best book of the week.
They have multiple because don't they have that other serial killer book? Um,
Oh yeah, the Sesame Street. Is that right? Isn't that a serial killer book? The Sesame Street survival something. I thought that was something as
I
well.
forget the name of it, but
Yeah.
they got something where like all the serial killers live in the same cul-de-sac. And there's like I guess an association of serial killers. They all kind of have to check in because they all have different, whatever their brand of serial killer is, whether you're like an old granny or the mask guy or the
It's
kid
pretty
killer.
funny.
It's a pretty good book.
That's funny.
So interesting. Image is a strong number three. Like there was a point
Yeah.
where IDW was neck and neck with Image, but they could never quite surpass them. But DC, that's strong. That's a good showing of their books are
Yeah.
pretty good.
I
The
I guess
absolute books.
the only thing that made me nervous was that, and I won't say what podcast it was, but there was a retailer that went on the podcast, blind item, and not that anyone is, you know, but they mentioned that like this year they made like $1,800 more than the last year. When I said that, I'm like, isn't that ridiculous? And then you were basically fired right back. You're like, well, we didn't lose thousands and thousands. They broke even. or they made it
It's not
wasn't
they
really
broke it.
we don't know what the profit they made. It was just like that they made exactly the same as yet last year. But then when they mentioned that, they said, but if it wasn't for the October, December launch, October, November, December absolute launch, we would have been negative. We would there's no if we didn't
Yeah,
sell
not
X
negative in
amount of
profit.
copies.
Just they wouldn't have made as much as the year prior.
Right.
And,
Right.
and I said that's kind of an achievement in today's world with inflation, interest rates,
Yeah.
a loss of interest in comics, trying to retain, your
Mhm.
customers. So that's an accomplishment because how many comic stores do we see go out of business? Here in New Jersey, two strong comic book stores stopped getting in new comics on a weekly
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And this company and this store is not. So good for them. Good for
Yeah.
them. And they have a small chain, right? Just they have two stores.
Yes.
The store we're
Mhm.
talking about. Not that it's private. They obviously told this information on a
Right. Right.
podcast,
Sure. Sure.
so
Sure.
it's not a big
Yeah.
deal. Um,
They have two. I'd be curious to see. I never heard of like Third Eye. I think the guy who does Third Eye, which is in Maryland, they have like 5 stores. So I'd be curious if they talk about certain things. They have a lot of good exclusive. They have a lot of people. Mike Hawthorne signs there. He lives near there. He signs there quite a bit. A couple people have signed there.
I'm
Um,
curious. The store that we were attached to, you more the employee and me the super customer slash kind of temporary, kind of
yeah,
employee.
you brought our
Um,
books from UPS and we got them
right.
early, so
And I
you
would
were
I
an
would help
employee.
out for signings and stuff, and I would help count the books on Wednesdays.
Yeah,
I kind of worked there, not for a paycheck, but just for more discounts. Like if
yeah,
I
yeah.
worked there for 2 hours on a Wednesday, helping count books and helping do pools, then I get
Mhm.
2 hours of free comics.
Right. Yeah,
So, but at your highest, you had Legends had 6 stores, right?
yeah. We were number 6, so Deptford was number 6.
Right.
But I feel like one of them was already closed. One of them, like it was when we never had a pure 6. I think when we were number 6, I think technically 2 or 3 were. One of them was not open
Okay.
anymore. Yeah,
Because we had stores what in Plymouth Meeting Mall,
Willow Grove Mall
Willow Grove
was
Mall.
was 3.
Did
Two
you have one?
technically was Plymouth Meeting.
Okay. Did
Cumberland
you?
Mall
Okay, I was going
was
to say Cumberland
5.
Mall is like a real small mall. That's
Yeah.
amazing you even had one there at all.
What was nuts about the Cumberland Mall store, and I worked there at one point. This is what I find really interesting about, I guess, not really child labor laws, but it just wasn't monitored. I worked 7 days a week. I worked at Legends for 5. I worked 6 days, and then on Sunday, I would go down and cover the store down there where there was a manager. I think his name was Mike, where he would pull books. So they actually had like a pretty big back room, and it was like, but it was more of like you had to go down a hallway. It was like a classic mall type thing, and they had a mall storage area, and then they had, I would want to say they had like 30 or 40 long boxes, like open stock. So he would spend the week doing like inventory, and then on Sunday I would go there, man the store, sell books to people, and then he would go, and that mall was wacky, it was dead. It was just dead
Yeah.
all the time. And then he would just basically fill books in. And he was just, but again, same thing. He'd work there for 6 days a week, so he was the Cumberland Mall me, right? But I was, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. But um, yeah, I don't know. Spiraling back. Here we go. Here it is.
Okay.
So
Spiral.
speaking of Titan, so Titan, this is pretty fun. So this is Solomon Kane, and a lot of good variants on this. You got J.H. Williams, Mike Mignola, Zurcher's the main. He's cover C, which is fine, but to me, Patrick Zurcher has been doing Conan-ish stuff, whether it be Savage Avengers, whether it be actual Conan, Marvel. I think he did a couple issues there. He hasn't done anything in here through Titan, but he's done Solomon Kane stuff in Savage Sword of Conan. So I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know how they're gonna trade stuff for this potentially. Because if they do like a Solomon Kane trade, I think I would really like it if they would include the stuff he did in Savage Sword. I don't know how they're gonna do it. Anyway,
Yeah, that makes sense. This is
four
an
issues.
incredible.
Look at that
All right,
lineup.
go on.
Yeah.
The,
So
the
yeah.
lineup of
So
variant covers is just ridiculous. Like they're really investing into this book. Like they're putting it all out there, and that means they feel strongly about this book, even though it's only a 4 issue miniseries. Like they're putting a lot of money out to
yeah.
get the attention. I mean, holy crap! You got a Magnolia cover, which looks great. Those look like alien skeleton creatures. That's really cool looking.
Blah. Yeah. So this is the main look. That looks like a movie poster, right?
And
Isn't that cool?
that is
Like
that Searcher.
that's Patch. Yeah, that's Patch
It
Searcher. Yeah,
looks like he's doing a little Greg Landish. Like I wonder if these are people he knows or actors, or it's very specific looking. Like
it
the
could
faces
be.
look different, and I
Yeah,
like that. He could be doing people from see people like Greg Land always get caught because you're always like, oh, we recognize that model and that pose.
yeah. We
You
saw
know,
someone last week that was like that did that, and I'm just like, why are you doing that? You
yeah.
know?
But if you like just have people in your life, you're just going through Google images or YouTube or your friends Facebook pages, like you might have something there. Um,
This is the
it's neat looking.
Headlopper guy, so this is kind of crazy.
Okay.
That's Andrew McLean. Andrew
Yes.
McLean, Headlopper's great. I love Headlopper. That was a really fun, uh, like barbarian magic help. It's like Conan and Hellboy put together basically. But again, lots of
Right.
snakes. McLean actually also wrote a really good Godzilla series last year that a different guy drew it, and I was like, man, I want him to draw it. He did the variant covers, but the main artist for that series was so good. That was a really good Godzilla. So hopefully this puts get McLean, throw him in the Savage Sword, man. Give me a black and white Andrew McLean Conan book, like something.
Yeah. Dan
This
Brereton.
yeah, this is interesting. It's a little lighter, right? I mean, we're so used to seeing the same color-ish Dan Brereton, right? But
Also a much more jagged face. Like he's very hard with his edges. It's a
yeah,
more masculine
beautiful
line, I
cover,
think they
man.
call it.
Holy mackerel.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, this
holy
is really it's
mackerel. So
different.
yeah,
It's
so I'm
cool.
kind of I'm losing it. And there's another patch. Oh, this is interior. I'm sorry. So this is probably the splash.
It's very neat. Very
You know, this actually when I saw this kind of reminded me of it's not the same shot in any way, but in when we saw Nosferatu, there was just these really long establishing shots where there's just like a road, like there's just
yeah.
like it's very moody, it very evokes a lot of mood. And again, it could be some models, but again, the good thing is a panel to panel, it's the same person. So if you're using models, it's the same
Yeah.
person clearly, and that's cool. Different than this guy's not also Solomon Kane, right?
Yes.
So that's cool. Yeah, so really,
That's
really good.
that's Bob Hoskins
That's
from Robin Hood. Or not Robin Hood, Hook.
oh yeah. I've already kind of featured some of this on the previous one. So this is wave 45 of X-Men Legends, and I went on a couple sites, so I saw some better. I this look at this, man. Look at how cool
That's
that
neat looking.
is. That's not even drawn in the comic like that. That's really crazy. I love that. So I was like, oh man. So I don't know because what costume is this? The X Factor
Is it
costume?
X Factor ish?
It's X
I always
Factor.
picture that white though with the white stripe.
Oh,
It's got to be something.
it's X Factor. It's Simonson's X Factor. That's the Walt Simonson X
Okay.
Factor run. You know,
Well, that looks like a very I can see. All right.
it's not a Bob
Yeah.
Layton. He's got a finger gun. He's got a finger gun.
Pew
Boo
pew.
boo. Yeah,
That's
because
cool.
he's doing the temple, right? Temples.
Temple toucher.
Careful, temple toucher. Yeah, and this is the Gambit and the Externals.
Right from the Age of
I
Apocalypse.
when we talked this week, I was like, who the heck is this? I don't know who this guy is. Nemesis.
Nemesis.
I couldn't fathom who Nemesis was, and I was thinking of Nemesis, the Millar creation. I'm just thinking that the Millar isn't that the Joker creation? Like what? You know what I mean? It's the
Right.
so I couldn't
The
do it. So
Miller World
this,
Batman Joker combo. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
I'm like,
this is
no, it's Holocaust from Age of Apocalypse. Like I immediately knew
yeah,
who he was. 'Cause I remember making fun of Nemesis. 'Cause I'm like, I get it. I get why you changed the name.
yeah. I get it. It's just and they
Cool
actually have like an
looking.
open.
They
Yeah,
never really showed. I think during the where he showed up, I think it was in Joe Madureira's Astonishing X-Men. They never really showed that his face was a skull. It was always like a slight silhouette.
yeah.
And this reminds me of not this one so much, the other one. This more looks like just a Ghost Rider in an suit of armor.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yeah.
reminds me of Joe Casey, Tom Scioli's Godland. They had this character who had like a skull, like just floating in this goo.
Oh yeah.
But it was just a cool looking character design. That kind of reminds me of what this is.
Yeah, that's the build a figure. I just was like, does anyone care
Oh,
about
that's the build a
this
figure.
character? Yeah. So then you get
Doesn't look cool
okay,
enough. Looks like it
nah.
should be wider. Like give him more. Listen, we know you can mimic artist styles. Can you just mimic Joe Madureira? You know?
Yeah, especially because like, look, that's a Salvador LaRocca Gambit, and look how close that Gambit is.
Yeah.
You
That was
know,
the Tony Daniel book though, wasn't it?
yeah, the first two,
Right.
first
I think
two.
the first two, and then LaRocca drew the other two.
Terry Dana had to go draw Spawn Blood Feud. I'm not sure if that's the right timeline. That might be right. Here's a bunch of Master Universe figures.
Cool.
So
What?
there's a bunch of them coming out in different lines.
Right.
So there's Origins cartoon, and there's Masterverse, because Masterverse is the Kevin Smith one.
I think so.
I think so.
Which
But
comes back this month.
oh, really?
Yeah, new season starts up, and I think next week.
I,
Which
I
I didn't even know. I just happened to see. I see one picture of it somewhere. I'm like, oh, they're not really getting the news out on this. And I'm like a super Master Universe fan. I haven't heard that. I don't think Kevin Smith's had a podcast lately. I don't think his show's been
oh
on.
yeah, you know what's crappy is that like yeah, I kind of was plugged in a little bit to some of his events, but he's doing them next weekend, this weekend, next weekend, the 18th, January 18th, 19th. He's doing a Mallrats like 30th anniversary or whatever, and just showing the movie.
You know,
But he said he's doing like a live audio, second audio, so that's kind of fun.
it's sad because he really put some thought into Mallrats too. Multiple times he thought about Mallrats too.
Yeah.
But the more recent one, he was talking to Shannon Doherty when he was on her podcast, and it's just so sad now that
Oh,
they've lost
yeah. You told me
her.
to listen. I haven't listened to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. There was going to be a follow up. I don't know if there were. I've never gone back and checked. I don't know if she posted it or something. I have to go look. But the part one is really good, and it's sad. You know, I mean, people.
Oh, that's right. Because he did. There was a part one, part two, but they only put the part one out, and then she passed.
Yeah,
Right. So yeah, we have to figure that out. But yeah, I think
yeah.
there's
These are very cartoon
they're all
looking.
20. These are all $20. For the most part. I think the Masterverse is maybe 25. The
They
King
do have a lot more
Randor
detail in them.
is really nice. Yeah, the King Randor is like really nice. This I thought it was like this is really weird, right? Because this looks like a 3.75 figure. This is a 12 inch. So this is like just like the mail away, but they put the colors of the holiday special. So I kind of
Neat.
love this. But $80, man.
It's a
I mean,
lot for a 12 inch.
it's for five. Yeah, but these guys, this is Gentle Giant, right? But Gentle Giant, they'll do limited releases. So this is only 500. So
Oh,
500 for
okay.
$80. So
I
I
get it.
guess so. And again, and it could be that like, look, you literally see on the screen grab, get 20% off. So it could be a bit less. This was just a better picture of the SH Monster Arts Godzilla Destroya, the burning, and
Your favorite.
I really think it's not bigger than the one that I have. So she said, but like that doesn't make any sense. But like I just don't know. I think I'm just being fooled by how this looks, right? Like just by the color, by the lighting and the smoke and stuff. So
Mhm.
I'm not buying this. Plus, it's like originally when it was solicited, it was said at $80 everywhere. Big bad toy store. It's $115. 115. I see 125. So I can't do it. Maybe the pre-sale or something was $80,
Maybe.
but again, if I would only want it if it's like 12 inches or something. I only want that 12 inch. Give me
That's
that
what she
12
said.
inch. These are screen because I haven't seen these on anything official picks. McFarlane had had a live stream. So here it's kind of funny because like we're so used to what we know what this looks like. So we never seen his legs before, right?
Right.
So it's him filling in Jim Lee's, and I
Right.
wonder who's on his
They're
staff,
they're
right?
probably going through the issue and just finding other Jim Lee drawings and kind of making it from there and trying to do their best guesstimate.
But what's funny about this is Hasbro. We go back 5 slides. You got this really cool shooting, and this one's
Yeah.
like just like even that doesn't look as cool. Like you can't give me the front. So I mean, but here you get to see like the detail a
Now,
little
is
bit
this going
more.
to connect to a
I don't know.
Magneto at some point?
I'm not
Like maybe
sure.
when you buy Magneto, because right, the whole blast hits the Magneto force bubble,
Yeah,
right? I don't
yeah.
know. Maybe we'll get an add-on.
Because they did a Wolverine one. They got the Wolverine going like. "Meh."
Yes.
I
Yeah.
hate that Wolverine drawing. That
It's not as
sucks.
good as
It's the
McFarlane can make.
worst.
Yeah, it's not as good as his other stuff.
It's the worst one.
True
McFarlane
that.
can grab his own. Yes, this is the Casada Casada jump.
Okay, looks like
You
it.
know, yeah, this is a pretty famous Stuart Immonen cover. And here's the thing: even with this design, I know they just redesigned it slightly, and we reviewed that book last week on reviews day.
Right.
It's so much more powerful just having Cap Shield. So when the movie comes out, I think the movie still will hold a certain level of goodness because of Cap Shield. I feel like there's a goodwill in that. That's the carry.
Yes.
That's it. Don't give me the shield with the weird like triangle and triangles. Blah. So even just
Listen,
this
it's
drawing,
okay to have different colors on the shield. Like
yeah,
if you don't have the original shield, you should have a variation. You shouldn't have exact copy. U.S. agent had a black and red one. Why don't you have a
yeah,
blue and white one or a blue and black one?
yeah. I don't love that his costume in Thunderbolts isn't like isn't more U.S.
Just
agenty,
give me pure U.S. agent. That's what I want.
and also the shield that he has is just like I think it's just worn off completely. I don't think there's a line on it. I think it's just
No,
pure
I think it's just like steel
metal.
almost or something.
Yeah, it's
It would
not.
be
It's
cool if
not.
they're like, we got you a new shield made out of adamantium. Like that would have been like killer
What did I say? Are they doing something in adamant? I feel like they're doing something in adamantium in
in the
one of
Marvel
these
U.
movies.
All right,
Yeah, I want to say that either Thunderbolts or the Sam Wilson movie. I'm not sure on the Cat movie. Why can't I think what this drawing is?
it's the Marvel Tales cover by McFarlane.
All right,
Only the rest of
yeah,
the X-Men are around her, right?
that's right. Yeah, yeah. Because I was like, oh, it's like a McFarlane thing. I'm like, what is this from? I couldn't place it. I was like, yeah, I really couldn't place it. But yeah, I mean, listen, if you're gonna do it, then you might as well. So this is my favorite one because it's one of my favorite covers. Right? This
Gotcha.
is everything is perfect here. I don't know why these other ones don't have like that. Don't have the corner box. Like it's not that hard. You can't give me like a corner box of Marvel, and you can't give me a corner box here. Like what are the rules on this thing? Clearly the bases have the logo. Yeah, that logo is a little flat. So if you are, what I mean, give me the logo. Give me the logo. This one's kind of the best one. You have the logo pulled. You have like literally a Jack Kirby drawing in the background. Do it. Just do that. This is
I love the cover. Look at that.
this
Look at the
one.
black lines. Look at the. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
the
so cool looking.
squiggles. Yeah, yeah. So this one is the only one I think I want the Deadpool one, but I haven't seen these out. Where are these? Are these out where? Isn't
Also, how big are these? I don't know how big these are.
so she said. No, I think they're 10
Right,
inches.
these for multiple. All right.
They're $50. I want to say they're 45, $50. I don't know. And I also don't know if like is this diorama like cardboard? Like what it's
I know.
I don't know how good that is going to be. Is it going to fall apart? Is it going to last a long time? Do I need to strengthen it? Like I don't know about it yet. So anyway, but this to me this is kind of the best one. This was a this is a I think they said this is the Batman 89 because I feel like it's a joke known as like slight variations, you know. I just
Okay.
like that the cape is kind of maneuverable, and there's a Fleischer Superman.
That's awesome looking. I love it.
Yeah. So that's really good. That's really. I don't know. I feel like you can get away from this. Why? I feel like I see this more and more now, and I'm like, we're not better at
I
articulation
know.
than
You don't.
this.
It's weird. You can't hide that a little better. All right.
Yeah. All right. We already did that. And then this is my last story. Basically, we'll go over anything else that you have. Uh, look, I I feel I feel like when a movie flops, I feel like everyone should get like a script. I feel like Warner Brothers should basically give like Andy Machete a script. Like I just feel I'm kind of over this whole thing. I'm kind of over this whole like blaming the fans or whatever. Flash failed among other reasons because it wasn't a movie that appealed to all four quadrants. It failed at that. We spent 200 million making a movie. Warner wants to even bring your grandmother to the theaters. I've found in private conversations that a lot of people just don't care about Flash's character, particularly the two female quadrants. All of that is just the wind going against the film, I've learned. Now, this is not in English, by the way. So someone translated it. So I don't even know if all this is true.
Okay.
But the thing what I like this article, so this is a bleeding cool article, but I like that they wrote this. The TV show ran for 9 seasons, 184 episodes.
Yeah,
9 seasons. Now listen, we know that 4 or 5 are good and then whatever, but if it did poorly in season 6, 7, it wouldn't have went to nine. It had to have been somewhat profitable.
it was actually
Nine
still the number one
seasons.
show. It was still like doing a good. It was still doing good numbers at the end.
Yeah.
They had to stop it. They knew they had to stop it. Also, they had this movie in the works. This movie has a lot of problems, and none of them have to deal with like what he's saying. Like the Flash failed. There wasn't superhero fatigue because a good movie brings people back.
Mhm.
He says people don't care about the Flash. People love the Flash.
Yes.
Your first problem was you had a problematic lead star,
Yes.
who
It
was
choked
always
people out.
problematic from the beginning because you had already given us Grant Gustin. We all kind of fell in love with Grant Gustin.
Mhm.
You know, I think part of the reason Brandon Routh's movie didn't work is because people love Smallville so much. It's like, why are we going to go pay for it? We can get it for free with someone we
Mhm.
like better. That's no slam against Brandon Routh. I love him. He did a great performance. But like Grant
Dylan Dog.
Gustin, Grant Gustin is a better Flash.
Mhm.
Like you should have just got rid of Ezra Miller the minute he started to be problematic, and Zach's probably Zack Snyder's worst casting. Everyone else cast it perfectly in his movies. I feel,
Right.
except for him. The character never felt like Barry Allen. They never tried to make him Barry Allen.
Right.
They just tried to make him comic relief. We have problems with the movie CG. And if you want to appeal to the two quadrants of women, well, you made a Supergirl who like just wasn't cool enough. Like you should have like my opinion is my opinion. I'm ready to break down this whole movie. My opinion is, and I like the movie. I just don't love the movie, and I should have loved it. Like
Yeah.
she should have been the daughter of Christopher Reeves and Margot Kidder, Superman and Lois.
Mm.
That makes you automatically like the character. Don't try to fit in her stupid Flashpoint. Like you're not doing anything else Flashpoint. Why are you doing her Flashpoint? You're not doing
Yeah.
Flashpoint
Yeah.
Batman. There's no Flashpoint in that movie except her story. Dumb.
Right.
You could have made
Right.
her the daughter of Christopher Reeves, Margot Kidder, and that would have made you care about her. The Michael Keaton Batman stuff, not Batman, not Tim Burton enough. They should have made it feel darker, more moodier, the music better. They should have driven the Batmobile. Like
Yeah,
they
let's
just
look at it. Let's
let's
look at the
look at it. It's
Batmobile.
like I can see the Batmobile at a comic convention. I want to see them drive it down the streets. It's they try to do too much. What you should have done with that movie was the Rogues Gallery. Flash has got the third best rogues out of all superhero dumb. It's
Mm.
Spider-Man, Batman, Flash. Those three people have the best villains. You should have had the TV show. Oh, this is such inner geekdom. The TV show should have introduced villains over the years and then do a Flash movie. End the show. He fights the villains in the movie.
That's
That's
all
what
the
your Flash
rogues.
movie should have been.
Yeah.
But you don't do that. There's no rogues in the movie. You don't even give us a good villain. The villain happens to be a Flash from the future who's done nothing but try to save the universe for 50 years. It's so stupid and convoluted.
Yeah.
You promise us a multiverse, and then you give us bad CG of everyone instead of just like better deepfakes.
And then you double down and was like, "Wow, it's supposed to look like that. Why? Why should it look like
Why?
that?"
Why did you give? And you didn't
Because
have to
you're
give us that scene.
inside. You're inside the circle. You're
We
inside
didn't.
the bubble.
Yeah, we didn't need that scene. That scene's it's a bad scene. It's a bad concept
Yeah.
for a movie. You know,
I liked it
like
when it first came on. I'm like, all right, I see. Okay, there's Superman jumping at you. Like I like it. Like I get you get to see the time, the Speed Force and the time, right? But I don't know. It just seemed to just go everywhere, and I also don't know what you want to talk about an audience. Who the hell's going to understand Nicolas Cage in this movie? Who the hell's going to understand that? Who's going to go what? And he doesn't even really look like Nicolas Cage to the point
no, he looks
where
like Taya
Nicolas
Leone.
Cage.
That's what he looks like in that. And listen,
it,
I'm all for flashing to other universes. Yes, I would have loved a better Nick. Listen, Nick Cage Superman, I love it.
they
Like
filmed him
it.
though.
It should
They
have
filmed
worked.
him.
It
They
should
paid
have
him.
worked as good as Channing Tatum Gambit.
Yeah. No, you're
He
right.
should have.
Yeah.
He should have been a character in a movie, not a flashback to another scene. Why not
Yeah.
just bring him in? He could have had a couple scenes. He helps him out. That's a better movie. The movie didn't do good because you listen. That Flash movie was the movie I was the most excited about, and I left the most depressed about. because I didn't. And even though we like scenes with his mother, we talk about. There's good
Yeah,
stuff in it.
yeah. Although I didn't know this. He can't cry in that movie, so they CGI'd his tears. So when he cries in that movie,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
a CGI.
All right.
CGI tear. I'm
I get
crying.
it. You drop of a hat. You're crying thinking about the scene. He can't do it while he's acting the scene.
Yeah, but there's nothing better. Listen, there's nothing because after that movie came out, I came home and I watched the finale. The finale of season one is better than that movie. Is
Yes.
better. And what was weird about it was when I'm watching the finale of season one, I'm like, did they already put Robbie in there? They already had the doctor. You had Firestorm. You had the Firestorm ready.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Firestorm yet.
You had all the ingredients there.
Yeah. So I thought that to me in my brain that was like season two or three. No, it's season one. So you had a bunch of stuff ready. The universe is falling apart. Everything's kind of exploding. This may not work. And then he goes back and he's going to go save it. And then you're like, I don't know. And then he gets waved away. And then he talks to his. I can't even talk about it. I'm gonna start crying like Kevin Smith started crying. I mean, I know that's what's funny about it is that
Yeah.
Kevin Smith got like in a lot of like not geek trouble. People are like, oh, he's such a baby. Okay, you trying to watch that scene and not think about it. I don't even know what compelled him to film himself watching that. But I wish when, like, I remember my daughter, I was watching the season two finale of Mandalorian at like 6 a.m. Remember, because it premiered like 6 in the morning.
Yeah. I remember.
So I wake up, it's before work, I'm watching at 6 a.m. and I'm living in a condo in Mount Laurel. And Sophia came out and went to the bathroom and she came back, my daughter, and she looked at me and I'm like shaking. I'm like, oh my God. Like, Luke Skywalker showing up. Like I'm
Yeah.
shaking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Literally shaking. And I wish I was like, can you film this? Like, you know what I mean? Like I really wish because I can't recreate the feeling of like, oh, I'm going to see a character I haven't seen since 1983 in the
Right.
way that I would see him, right?
Uh,
I'm going to see this 1983 version of Luke Skywalker. And
yeah.
you can't replicate that. That's why like it is interesting watching people react to that, having video of that. Star Wars Theory having a video of that, of him crying. Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Because you can't have that.
I was
So
sitting here. I was sitting here watching it with my family that episode, and like as soon as I saw the X Wing, I'm like,
did I
no
text
way.
you about that or anything? Did I? I don't think I.
I don't remember, but I'm like, no way. And my daughter's like, who? I said, I can't tell you, because my stupid writer's brain already writes the ending.
Hmm.
Because I can't. You can't help that when you have a writer's brain. It's like you always.
But even the
You,
people on set didn't know about that. They were told other things were going on.
oh yeah, they were told it's the other guy. I don't know other Star Wars characters' names that they were told it was someone else, another Jedi that had happened to live.
It was Kiada Mundi or something like that, or Kid
Yes,
Fisto.
no, not Kid Fisto. He died in Revenge of the Sith, right?
Yeah, yeah. They're told
Um,
it's someone else. Yeah.
yeah, they told someone else. Yeah, like a lumpy face. They have black things over his eyes. I think
Uh,
I don't know his name. Anyway, but like I knew, and I couldn't tell I figured it out, but like I was still so excited. I still wanted to see how they were going to do it, how the scenes progress,
yeah.
and I couldn't say anything to my daughter watching it with me. But like the reveal was great. It was a great reveal, and I love the mirroring of the Darth Vader scene from Rogue One.
Mm. Oh yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. Oh,
I
the
didn't
whole
pick up
way
on that
through.
the first time I watched it.
Right. No, I don't think I did either. I just was like, I just was like
You're
overwhelmed
in
with
the
it.
scene. You're in it way too much to think about it.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about anything but that scene. So
Also, lastly, about the Sandy Machete situation is that he was asked about. He just mentioned like delays, right? The two
right,
things. The Golden Globes were, and Matt Reeves attended the Golden Globes. The Penguin won, of course. That won. Well, he won. I don't think it won as this show or directing or anything like that. But Colin Farrell won in Thank Craft Service, which is a really cool, funny speech at the end. Which is kind of funny because even when you see him like when he's out of makeup or something, he's still like ridiculously fit. He's talking about like all the stuff he was coconut water and pie and stuff. Like he didn't have to get fat for this role. He literally had a fat suit on. Whenever
right.
you see him out of the fat suit, I'm like, hey, you're still skinny, you know. But I do think this year could be attributed to a lot of makeup because again, Demi Moore for half of that movie is in this like weird like I would almost put it like
What is that
like
movie
a
on?
witch.
It's streaming, right?
Substance. Yeah, I think it's just streaming. It's not on anything
Okay.
yet. I don't think it's not on it's not on Max or anything like that. And I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure if people are going to adopt into it. If again, after, and this is more of a geeky thing, they put the movie MUBI, which is like a studio. It's some like distribution studio. I think they helped produce it. They put the making of, and you get to see the prosthetics. You get to see the way that they didn't have a lot of money for this movie. So there's a part where they're basically like the Demi Moore's back splits open. There's like another body coming out of it. Well, she knew where she was going to shoot, so they're like, you don't have to make all the legs. You're not going to see the rest of her legs. So they just literally do different things where they just do different body parts. Then there's a lot of close-ups of weird things. So they literally I forget what they called it, but they literally for a week shot details of things, whether it be like someone eating shrimp. Dennis Quaid's in this ridiculous. Dennis Quaid's, by the way, he was on CNN. They basically were like live. They basically were talking to Dennis Quaid for like 16, 17 minutes as his house is like burning next to it. I'm like, can we just not? do we? Do like what's the role here? But anyway, Matt Reeves was at the Golden Globes, and the way that they asked him the question, like, well, "What's up? Are you talking to James about Battinson, Bat being alongside Superman?" And he's like, "Oh, everyone," and he just didn't deny anything. Where normally it's like, "I'm doing my thing, he's doing his thing." So I don't know, because there have been rumors that they're just going to just it's together, it's together.
I don't want them to be together. I know the Rob Pattinson that universe has already started. It's already good. We already like it, but it's just too real to be in James Gunn's universe.
Yeah.
Like they've already established a crazy Clayface, okay, in
Mm.
Creature Commandos.
Oh, I see. Right,
Uh,
I haven't finished that. Yeah.
spoiler, not spoiler. Um, so they established a Clayface in that, who I can't see being anything like the Clayface that Matt Reeves is supposed to put in the Batman 2.
I
It's
see.
it's just Gunn's world is too fantastic, and Matt Reeves is just too real.
Mhm.
I kind of feel like the Ben Affleck Batman was going to be more like in line with what James Gunn wants to do. An older Batman who has a kid, you know,
Listen,
like it doesn't
the
make like
beginning of the Flash, you can have that Batman. You can have that Batman, and you can have just Ben Affleck rescripting his own stuff because he wrote his own lines in that movie. There was and that's also on YouTube. I think I told you that when that hit, somebody posted the making of the Flash of Andy Machete's The Flash, and the reason that I said it, the reason why the movie went way over budget, is that because he filmed. They're like, yeah, we went to this. We went to the like this mansion and we filmed the same mansion as this, and then we did the interiors of ours. We went to Sweden or we went to France. What are you talking about? Those scenes are like a minute long. You
yeah.
know what I mean? I'm
Why
not
did you
saying
need
you
to
have to
do?
do the volume, but you're telling me, and you're seeing hundreds of people on set to have him talk about a bowl of spaghetti for fuck's sakes. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, what is this? What? Why
And also like
do I care? It's
I
the
could literally go to
same
that movie
costume room.
and just tear like yeah, like the whole hospital scene is like just a long drawn out scene that like is dumb.
It's
Because here's the thing,
stupid.
he puts like just physics. Physics. I hate doing this because it's a comic book movie. It's a comic book movie.
Yeah.
He basically stops time almost to save everyone. Everything's moving at a slower pace, but he still has time to put something in a microwave. Well, now that microwave is heating something at real time,
Mhm.
not speed time. So like the whole time you're doing this, that thing's been in that microwave for like 1 second.
Oh, I see. Right. Right. So how
Like
did you make your burrito? Correct.
yes,
I
and
see.
it's a whole. And he never talks about food in the earlier movie. Oh, your food calories real low. I thought he was
Right.
using a Speed Force to run. He never once had to. He's not Wally West of the '80s where he needs to eat
Right.
constantly.
Right. It's not
He
John Wesley
uses
Ship.
yes,
Mhm.
like that was never introduced. That's a false, which never gets brought up the rest of the movie, right?
It's only when yeah.
Yeah, when
It's
it's conveniently all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm
that,
hungry.
that's the Roger Rabbit joke. They're like, well, why didn't you do this earlier? Like, because I can only do it when it's funny or something like that. He's like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
So
I
it's
forgot
a
about that
rule.
line. It's a
Yeah,
rule.
it's a
It's a
rule.
rule. Um, yeah, even the scenes that's supposed to have serious CG don't look good. But I did like that Batman. I did like
That
Wonder Woman
Batman's
showing up.
cool. The Batman, like him, just kind of sliding along. The costume was kind of crazy. Like it had like a crazy weird chest. Like I don't understand it, you know.
Yeah.
And look, it's not bad to just have. Again, I just don't understand. You're not going to have that Wonder Woman show up. You're not going to have that Wonder Woman show up. That's the best. That's the best. She
Yeah.
shot for a couple days. She's really happy. She always seems really happy, right? Like so, it's just very welcoming. You know, it's
She
very welcoming.
respects Gal Gadot respects the part of Wonder Woman so much that she gave up smoking because she knew if she was ever caught in public smoking, like it would
Mm.
make little girls question smoking.
Oh
Like
wow.
she knows smoking's bad for you.
Well,
She quit. Well, she's a not to say all models smoke, but it's a common thing because that
yeah,
staves
yeah.
off
It's a
your hunger.
stereotype, but
It's
yeah,
a stereotype.
technically, but it's a
So
real thing. Yeah.
yeah. So
So, but I just don't know when this Machete movie's happening, and because technically he's supposed to be doing the Brave and the Bold, which is going to be, from what is stated, Damien, right?
Damien, yeah,
It's supposed to be Damien because
right.
Gunn he name drops Damien a few times. So I just don't know what they're doing, man. I feel like there's a lot moving. There's too many moving parts. In one of the ads this week, I thought it was kind of funny. Is they were like now streaming or now available to watch, and it was like Watchmen Chapter Two, the animated was 80% of the ad, and then they were like Joker, if all you do was like the 20% of the ad in the bottom. I was like, holy crap, you know? Because again,
Yeah,
listen, you guys, listen, Warner Bros. You got to have some like just take a look at what's going on. Take a look at this money spent. You shouldn't have never let this dude rent out 4 castles to recreate. And you built the Batmobile, right?
did they
Is
build it or
that
just?
someone's Batmobile?
I
I
hope
don't know. They
so.
probably fucking build it because they
No,
love. I feel
they
like they
they
love
they
building
rented
shit.
it from someone. They had to. There's
Listen,
there's
the
like 5 of them
cave,
around.
and also what is happening with like that Bruce Wayne like outfit? He's wearing like a train conductor uniform, walking around the Batcave. You know, I just don't know what that Bruce Wayne's doing. There's also like who should have been coming out of the
Also,
who came out of the limo at the end of the movie.
George
Technically, it was
Clooney,
Clooney, but that was already filmed as who?
Ben Affleck. No,
Keaton. There's shots
Keaton.
of
Yeah,
Keaton.
Keaton
Yeah,
and
where he has yeah.
Supergirl's supposed to fly down to the courthouse too. Like
Where's that at?
Supergirl and
Listen, put
Keaton
all
are
this
supposed to be in
out.
that universe. And
Yes,
then, but Henry Cavill's supposed to be there. And then they reached out again, where it's Henry Cavill and Supergirl. So in the universe, we got Henry Cavill, Superman, and Supergirl.
that's Supergirl.
You got
Correct.
Michael Keaton. That was supposed to be the universe prior to James Gunn taking
Mm-hmm.
over because they were going back with the Snyderverse hardcore when Zaslav first took over. And then the after credit sequence was going to be Ben Affleck being like, "I'm still here, Barry, you got to find me." So they were going.
Right.
That's a filmed scene, and
That's a crisis scene, kind
that's
of.
a that's a crisis scene. That's something, which has nothing to do with the Nightmare universe that also was going to get a TV show at one point. They were talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
James Gunn. Listen, I'm so excited for the Superman movie. Nothing's more exciting to me than that movie. I'm
Mhm.
very sad with what we lost. I just hope James Gunn can bring it all back and make us excited again. I love that Superman movie so much. That new trailer.
I'm nervous, man. I'm nervous about it.
I am. I am nervous.
I wish I didn't know things. I wish I was able to just see things without knowing like everything. Like I wish I could really like. I was thinking about that Saturday Night movie, the Saturday Night Live movie, and I wish I didn't know all the historical inaccuracies and just kind of went with it. Because I listened to Jason Reitman. I think you might listen to it too on the Fly on the Wall where he's talking about it. And then we all know there's different fabrications in it. Oh, what movie came out? Crap, some movie came out just now. Oh, the Timothy Chalamet fucking movie.
All right. The
There's fake characters in it. It's like I
oh
feel like
yeah,
it's
they kind of combine.
they combined a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of events that never happened. There's a studio. There's people. It's so
Well,
weird.
are the events that never happened or Bob Dylan because he would make up stories all the time? He didn't know
No,
what to believe. No, this is made up
no,
stuff.
no. These are like most of the events that they only took a brief period of Bob Dylan's life, a concentrated Bob Dylan space.
Right.
And now I don't even want to see it. There's plenty of film of Bob Dylan. There's plenty of documentaries to watch that. I don't need it. I don't need it. I also don't know. I don't want Timothy Chalamet's impression. because the whole new thing now with these movies because technology is really good. So you saw Wicked,
Yes.
and that was supposedly mic'd well, so everyone's singing. So that's all live. It's pretty cool, right? Like that's fine. That's what they
Yeah.
did in Tom Hooper. I want to say the guy who did Les Miserables with Russell Crowe. That was on set too. That was
I was
all
on set. Okay.
cameras. Yeah, that was on set too. So listen, they've gotten better at that. So I don't know. I just, but I don't want. But what they did with Bohemian Rhapsody, they took soundboards of Freddie Mercury. And that guy won an Oscar. He lip sync really good. You know, he was really good in that movie. But
Yeah, he is.
that movie, if you want to see some really strange shit, the movie won Best Editing. Look up if you just I think you could probably put it in YouTube worst editing Bohemian Rhapsody. There's one cut when this one like exec shows up. It's like 8 cuts, and it's like the continuity of it's all wrong. There's one guy like taking apart the scene. He's like, this is wrong. That back the lighting's coming from this angle. Like that shouldn't have won best editing. So anyway,
That's funny.
again, same thing.
Can
I
you
wish
imagine
I
that
didn't
movie
know this
with
stuff.
Sacha Baron Cohen?
What's that?
Can you imagine that movie with Sacha Baron Cohen?
Well, he had it. He
I
had
know.
the rights to it, and he had uh and they rejected. That's why you can't necessarily have the people attached to it. Or if you do, you let them do kind of warts and all. Elton John was technically attached to Rocket Man, and Rocket Man went dark in a couple areas. Not too bad, you know. I don't know. It's tough. Documentary all the way. It's two docs, two docs. So that's it. That's
I
the
know.
news
I
for
know.
me. That's
No,
it.
I don't even know if I had anything. We kind of we're doing this a little later than normal. I didn't really.
Exo
I wrote. I think I
database
wrote notes through the week, but then I can't find that paper because life's a
somewhere.
mess. Life's a
That's right.
mess. Um.
That's right.
So that's all I got. I think.
Well, stay tuned. We have lots of specialty shows coming out.
Yeah, we're
I got
messing
a
around. We got
couple.
some ideas.
Yeah, I
Got
got a
some.
couple of things that I want to do with the shops, local shops. I was in a shop today that I might, and I talked a little bit to the owner, who I don't have a particularly good relationship with, not an adversarial relationship with, but I don't know that well.
Right. Right.
But I ended up getting something there, and and it was a good price, not normal from that store. So that I was like, well, I'm going to figure this out, and so that's pretty fun. I'll get into
No,
that in
I'm
a
excited.
different show.
We've been in a lab with a pen and a pad
Yeah,
trying to get this damn label off.
for show, for show. All
So
right,
good.
I'm going to go. We're going to do it. We're going to end this, and stay tuned. Keep checking
Don't
out to
don't
all
hit
your
that button.
friends.
You're
Send
gonna hit
it.
the button.
All right, I'm going to hit it now. I'm going to hit it over here.
Don't tell people.